I know nothing about EarthBound, other than the fact it was the second part of the Mother trilogy, which was only released in Japan. First was Mother on Famicom, then Mother 2 on Super Famicom, which became EarthBound in the US, then Mother 3 for the Game Boy Advance, and then Mother based on the psychological horror film starring Jennifer Lawrence. So EarthBound must have been so bad, we didn't even get the other games. Well, what do people have to say? Let's find out. How bad was EarthBound? Oh, okay, it's just one of the greatest RPGs of all time, that's all. When did this happen? One of the top Super Nintendo games? And of course, when Nintendo rounded up all their most iconic characters for the Super Smash Bros. Series, they included Ness from EarthBound. And that doesn't even sum up EarthBound's legacy. This game has a whole community. It's worshipped. If God had a favorite game, it might be EarthBound. Everybody and their grandma talks about it. EarthBound, 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 the Mother series, motherfucking shit. Well, guess I missed out on that one. How was I supposed to know? Nobody gave a shit back then. Now I really need to play it. But it's the one game I don't own. Let's see here. Oh, you son of a bitch. Oh my God, you gotta be kidding me. It's one of those, okay. Well, luckily it's been released on the virtual consoles for the Wii U and new 3DS, and also the fun-sized Super Nintendo Classic with several built-in games. But this thing probably isn't that much easier to get. I usually play the original cartridges, but this time, for the convenience, I'll make an exception. So the game centers around a young boy. As I mentioned already, his name is Ness, or whatever you want to name him since it's an RPG. He's eventually joined by Paula, Jeff, and Pooh. That's right, Pooh. Your goal is simply to collect 8 sacred melodies and save the world from Gygus, who is one of the most intangible villains I've ever come across, since it's never really explained exactly what Gygus is. It's more like a vague evil force that hovers over the world. Unlike most fantasy RPGs, it has a contemporary setting. You'll see drugstores, burger shops, stop signs, and vehicles that all resemble real life. This is kind of a breath of fresh air. As much as we love the far-out fantasy stuff, it's cool to see something we can sorta relate to. Even the first enemies you fight are common animals. At first, I didn't find this battle system to be very appealing. You can't see yourself, you can only see the enemies. Compare this to Final Fantasy III, Chrono Trigger, or Super Mario RPG. That's how I prefer my RPG battles. I want some kind of visual representation of the hero characters. If I wanted to read through the whole fight, I'd get out a pen and paper and play some D&D or something. Also, a common complaint I have with all RPGs is I really wish you could see the enemy's hit points. When I inflict damage on them, those numbers mean nothing to me. Is he almost dead? Should I be keeping track? How about a damn counter? But after a while, I got used to it. Because I had to, right? This is what you do more than half the game. But then, I started to really like it. Hearing that slashing sound when you make a successful strike on an enemy is so satisfying. You can't mention the fight mechanics without talking about the rolling hit point counter, which is a real cool idea. When you take damage, the numbers roll down, where in most RPGs it would be subtracted immediately. Why does this matter? Well, let's say if an enemy inflicts mortal damage on you, you have a chance to heal that character before it hits 0. This can get real tense because when you see those numbers going down, you're hoping to get your turn in quick. There's some other cool ideas here, like the auto battle option, so if you need to take a piss or do something else, you could let the game play by itself. There's also the sneak attacks. If you approach an enemy from behind, you get the first turn, but if they approach you from behind, they get the first turn. The dialogue is never boring. Characters will often break the fourth wall, making comments that allude to the fact they're inside a game. This guy says, "It could only cost you your life, and you got that for free." Or they'll say something that has nothing to do with the game, like, "I want to tell you the story of the creature from the vegetable soup, but I won't do that because I don't want to bother you with a story that has nothing to do with your adventure." I want to know! You don't just tell me about a creature from a vegetable soup and leave me hanging here! In lots of RPGs, the dialogue can be tedious, but here, because it's so funny, it makes you want to talk to everybody. The music is very diverse. It can be jolly, or creepy. And of course it has the mandatory Happy Town music. Oh, those towns, always so peaceful. Yeah. The moment I think best exemplifies the shifting tones in the music is when you're walking in the desert, and through the winds and trippy ambience, you start to hear a song come in, as if being played on a distant radio. There's no way to cover everything that happens in this game, but just to give you a taste of how unpredictable it is, let's just say you use a pencil eraser to erase a pencil, Ness rides on a Nessie-type creature on your SNES, you use zombie paper to catch zombies, like flypaper, so it makes perfect sense. You follow a hooker into a hotel room where a bunch of monsters gang up on you, you wake up in some weird room, you telepathically communicate with Jeff in a snowy land where he fights giant cavemen at Stonehenge and goes into a lab where a scientist builds a spaceship, you fly around, crash into a graveyard, ending up in the same weird room, you get a carrot key to use on shadowy bunnies to enter a cave, there's a town where nobody talks unless you give them a book to overcome shyness, there's a guy who turns himself into a dungeon, you go inside him to get a submarine! This is not normal. You gotta be insane to come up with this. What just happened to the game? And we gotta talk about these enemies. What the hell is that thing? You never know what you're gonna have to fight. It might be a pile of puke, or a UFO with a pink bow, or a cup of coffee, a car, happy vinyl records, gas pumps, melting clocks, a speed limit sign. I'm fighting a sign! And they chose such a moderate speed limit. It could have been 9,000 miles per hour, but they picked something ordinary. Even Handsome Tom makes an appearance. And now I'm fighting a tent! Dude! I'm fighting a tent! Whoa. Dude. That's it. This game's awesome. You know, I've talked a lot about wasting your time playing bad games, but there's something equally sad about missing out on a good game. I thought it was shit. I thought it was shit! I thought it was shit! You didn't tell me it wasn't shit, you fuck! You know, why did it flop? Some say it was because of those smelly ads, but that couldn't have been the whole reason. The 90s was all about gross out humor. That was the same decade that gave us Booger Man, Nickelodeon's Gak, Beavis and Butt-Head, Earthworm Jim, Ren and Stimpy. The 90s was the barf age. All the grunge bands, they sang like they were just getting over a sickness. Marilyn Manson, he sang like he was perpetually vomiting. Sweet dreams of it doesn't make sense. Like, how did it tank so bad? Some say it was because the game was overpriced because it came with a player's guide inside of an oversized box. Your mom has an oversized box! So, it's a good game. Maybe even a masterpiece. That means I'm gonna let it off the hook. There's nothing wrong with it. It's perfect. My ass! Yeah, I don't mean to piss on everybody's parade, but I do have some gripes. Beginning with my most minor complaint. All the money you earn from defeating enemies, you have to withdraw from an ATM or cash machine. Whenever you die, you lose half the money you're holding. You might say it's an interesting game mechanic because it's like real life, where you only want to take out as much as you need. But it only causes you to keep making extra stops and is a constant inconvenience. There's a part where you have to give somebody a diamond, but she won't take it unless you walk around to the other side of the desk. Have you ever had to walk around a desk to give somebody something? Here you go. It doesn't help that walking around anything could get you stuck. Hey, it's just trees. Look how tiny I am! I can't fit past that tree? This is almost as bad as Little Red Hood! Also, you move pretty slow, and with such a big world, getting around can be a chore. Sometimes you want to outrun enemies, but they're all the same speed as you, or faster. But oh hey, I found a bike! That solves that. Oh shit. Seriously? As soon as more characters join your party, you can't use the bike anymore. It's a one-seater only. Well, since Ness is solo for only a small part of the game, that means the bike is pretty much worth jack shit. Thanks for the tease, assholes! There's too many incidental items that only get used once, like the piggy nose which you use to sniff for magic truffles. I can't think of any other area in the game where you need that, so your inventory gets filled up quickly with all these items that you don't even know if you're going to need again. And yes, what you see on screen, that's all the inventory you can hold for each character. You can use Escargot Express, which is a pickup delivery service that can take the items off your hands and save them for you. But every time you call these bastards over, they only pick up 3 items at a time, so it's more messing around and jumping through hoops just to keep what you want to keep. When you buy items, there is no option to pick quantity. If you want to stock up on many of the same item, you have to buy them one at a time. Oh. 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 Wouldn't it be so much easier just to do this? Something as simple as buying items from the store is torture. Absolute fucking torture. Then there's a secret entrance that you have to access by standing behind a waterfall. You're supposed to stand still and wait. This is very similar to the tornado in Simon's Quest, which I've referenced 1,000 times, but that's nothing. You only have to wait about 5 seconds. But you want to know how long you have to wait here? 3 whole minutes. I'm dead fucking serious. If you die, you get the worst punishment ever. All your friends remain dead and have to be revived. To revive them, you have to take them to a specific place, usually a hospital. Along the way, Ness will most likely be forced into fighting a bunch of enemies without the help of his friends, which makes the whole process take even longer. When you get to the hospital, you have to pay a fee. Oh shit, I need to go to the ATM to get some money. So get the money, go back to the hospital, and now the friends are revived. One at a time. But their PSI or magic is still not replenished, so you either have to find a bunch of magic butterflies or go to a hotel and pay another fee for that. But the craziest thing is many of the areas in the game don't have hospitals or hotels. It might be a spring or a pool, a geyser, or some weird character with healing powers. You never know. So you do not want to die in this game, because depending where you are, it can take maybe 30 minutes to get everybody powered up again when a simple reset would have done nicely like every other fucking game. Even something as simple as saving the game is a hassle. You have to call your dad, who records your progress. That would be fine, but the guy just won't stop. Your dear old dad was also thinking about hitting the hay for the night. I have recorded a record of your adventure to this point. Good night, sleep tight. No, I'm not done. Continue. You like to work hard, just like your mother, but I don't think it's good to work too hard. This happens every time. Every single fucking time. You want to know how you save a game? That's how you save a game. Instead of having to wait through all this bullshit. Ah! And sometimes your dad calls you out of the blue. Hello, it's your dad. You've been out there for a long time now. It may be none of my business, but don't you think it would be a good idea if you took a break? Don't you think it'd be a good idea to go fuck yourself? This game is all about interruptions. Again, seemingly using Simon's Quest as the model. Here, earthquakes constantly stop you from moving. And you know it's coming, but there's nothing you can do. Oh, any second now, and he's, come on! Go, go, go! But the worst interruption of all, the photo guy. He drops in to take your photo again and again and again for no real purpose except for the end credits. Whoopity-doo. He shows up all the time, and I mean all the time. Leave me alone! Let me play the game! Often you may need to backtrack to areas in the game you've already been to, and with such a big world and so many enemies in your way, it could take forever to get from one place to the next. So thankfully, you get the power to teleport. Now you can instantly go anywhere you want. Or not. There can't be anything in your way. You need extra clearance, perhaps just enough to reach 88 miles per hour. This isn't Back to the Future. What is this shit? And if the roads are on an isometric angle, forget about it. You know how teleporting is supposed to work? Like this. Many areas in the game, the space just doesn't exist. How am I supposed to teleport here, or here, or here? You have to take a long hike to get somewhere else, which defeats the whole purpose of teleporting. It's another useful ability gone down the shitter. By the end of the game, you get an upgrade. Now the teleport goes in a circle, which is significantly better, but still, you can slam into things even when there seems to be plenty of space. Ass! I'd throw the game out the window, but it's on the Super Nintendo Classic, so that would mean throwing out Street Fighter 2, Donkey Kong Country, F-Zero, and Castlevania 4. And after all, I'm willing to excuse most of this shit because the game charmed me so much with its unique style. I still maintain it's an awesome game, but those are some serious strikes against it. No matter how frustrating it gets, I can't stop playing it because I want to see what happens next. You never know what this game's going to throw at you. All of a sudden, you're fighting a bunch of police officers. Police officers are trying to beat up a child. Then you're fighting a bunch of Klansmen who worship the color blue. Holy shit, I'm so overwhelmed trying to explain everything that happens here. The question is, what doesn't happen? Each area invents its own set of rules. In the neon town of Moonside, you can't walk around much. You're always trapped inside invisible barriers. So you have to talk to certain warp people who look just like everyone else, and they warp you to the next place. Also, in this town, yes is no and no is yes, so you have to answer everything opposite. Pay for the doctor's fee? Yes, no, yes, no! Should I say yes or no? There's a part where you have to navigate through a series of caves by trading items with monkeys. This is where your inventory skills of what to keep and what not to are put to the ultimate test. If you want to see how complicated this part is, just look at the player's guide. And it's just so you can get a yogurt dispenser to give to a secretary to grant you access to a certain floor in a building to fight robots, rescue Paula, and escape in a helicopter. Or not. It's like the Wizard of Oz with the hot air balloon. Come back, asshole! You eat a magic cake, which changes everything into a completely different game. This is where you play as Pooh for the first time. You have to go to the top of a hill known as the Place of Emptiness to meditate. This is another instance where you're supposed to stand still and do nothing. Then a voice calls out and says to stop your meditation immediately. Okay, so I go back to my master and he says to try again. What? So I go back up the hill again. This time I ignore the voice because you can't even trust what the game tells you. Okay. To complete your trial, I am going to break your legs. You will lose the use of them. Do you accept this? I'm supposed to say yes? Ah! Oh, this ain't good! I shall then take your arms and feed them to the crows? Oh, sure, why not? I'm almost dead anyway. Ah! Taking my arms, taking my legs, taking my soul, left me with life in hell! Without legs and arms, you can only lie there. Now I'll cut your ears off. Well, my HP is 0, so what could happen? Ah! No legs, no arms, and no sound. Do you care if I take your eyes? Do you want to live in eternal darkness? I shall steal your sight. Do you accept this? Ah! That was weird, man. Progressing toward the end of the game, you fight Diamond Dog, the first legitimately hard boss battle, because he deflects almost anything you throw at him. But if you make it through, you touch the fire spring, which transports you to some dream where you visit your childhood home as a ghost and see yourself as a baby who exhibits some signs of telekinesis, I think. If it all isn't cerebral enough, next thing, your mind creates a realm called Magicant, which is made up of Ness's memories, such as the flowers from Pee-wee's Playhouse. Introducing the king of cartoons! They say this land will cease to exist when he wakes up, but in the meantime, he's reunited with past characters, both friends and enemies. I still feel pain where you wounded me. Well, that makes you feel sad. This really is one of the most fascinating dream stages I've ever played in a game. There's so many interesting lines of dialogue that just makes me stop in my tracks, like this snowman from Ness's childhood. We had fun one snowy day. I melted, but I'm still real in your memory. And when Ness meets his younger self, this might be the most brilliant quote in the whole game. It's me. I'm you when you were younger. Hey, let's play ball. Do you prefer reading comics or playing games? What? You're busy? Pure gold. Then you're joined by flying warriors who represent your courage. When they die, they populate a graveyard. How cool is that? You also find the grave of Buzz Buzz, a bee from earlier in the game. Lots of people have theories on who Buzz Buzz really is, but I think Buzz Buzz is a collective entity that represents all the other EarthBound players out there who have shared this experience with you from a distance. Near the beginning of the game, Buzz Buzz says he's from the future, which is when the game finally got popular, as if it predicted its own legacy, and I like to think the tomb belongs to a player who gave up on this spot in the game, which is why you must go on. Then you go deeper into your subconscious. Shut up, Dad! Come on! You go deeper into your subconscious to a place where you touch the truth of the universe and then fight your evil self in the form of a gold statue. This game is nuts! It's really nuts! And once the statue's beaten, Ness absorbs the power of the land into his heart, and all of his memories flash before him.
Where did you learn to fly?
I shit all over it with the glitches.
Hey nerd, I'm your younger self. Wanna play some E.T.?
Fuck no!
Oh, well, why so angry?
Stop playing these games. They'll ruin your life.
But games are fun. What happened to you?
Yippee! Whoops.
I was fun too. You used to watch me over and over. I destroyed you. I slashed you with the sword and smashed you with the hammer. That's true, and it's still painful, but I still exist in your memory.
I shit all over it with the glitches. I shit all over it with the glitches.
I'm Bammy! I'm Bammy! I'm Bammy! Want some shit?
No! That's right, nerd. Don't take shit from nobody. Only give shits. And while you're at it, get some clothes that fit.
Yes, it's a little on the baggy side. Hey, I don't need any advice from you or the shit-talking shit. I'm not just any shit. I'm the shit you dropped on the Atari Jaguar. Well, where's the Jaguar? You didn't want it. All there is now is shit. Everything now is all shit. That's how you made it. But I don't want it to be shit. Not anymore. I've been through so much. I've recorded so many memories and experiences, but the shit is still spreading. It lives on and on. To defeat it, you must go back to the source of the anger, the beginning. You can't go back to your childhood, not physically anyway. You can only go back in spirit. And even then, you'll be isolated inside your own world. You'd be powerless to win without help from the outside.
Yeah, nerd! Do what the shit said! Beat EarthBound! Keep on trucking! You fuck! Alright.
The final stretch of EarthBound is one of the craziest things you'll ever experience in a video game. You're now ready to confront Gygus, but a scientist explains that Gygus is actually attacking from the past, so the only way to fight him is to get in a time machine called the Phase Distorter to take yourself back to the past. But the time machine can only transport inanimate objects. Any living beings are demolished in the process, so first you have to transplant your souls into robots. Yeah. Essentially, you can only go back in spirit. So when you're successfully sent back, the place known as the Cliff That Time Forgot becomes the Cave of the Past. Then you have to fight a whole bunch of enemies in your new robot bodies. Every few steps you take, you get stuck in another battle. The Starmen are some of the toughest enemies in the game. They just pulverize you, so you need to put up magic shields. If only you get the chance. And if there's one of those enemies that explodes and causes mortal damage to everyone, you better make sure to kill them last. Ugh, this whole thing is an endurance, and if you don't have enough items to heal or revive party members or replenish PSI magic, you could be fatally screwed. As far as I know, there's no way back anymore. You can't teleport to find a store to stock up on items. Whatever you have now, that's all you get. If you die, the items don't come back. If you run out of items, I really don't know what you would do here, and I don't want to experiment by hitting reset or anything like that. When you make it this far, this is when all the classic symptoms of gaming fever occur. Your hands sweat all over the controller, your face gets hot, you might even stand up like I do. You get so hyped, you think you might end up in a hospital. And if you want to experience this amazing finale for yourself, consider this a spoiler alert. Up until now, the game has been cute and adorable, but now it's about to hit you with a precision mindfuck. You walk through a weird passage that looks like intestines or something, you step up to the Devil's Machine, which contains Gygus, a portal opens revealing Ness's face, whatever that means, and to make things even more confusing, Ness's neighbor Pokey appears as a secondary villain. He's a recurring character who's always had a rivalry with Ness. It's not very clear how he ended up here, but what interests me is that you're fighting your own face. But anyway, now with that metal music going on, you know you're in for some serious shit. Come on. If you win, Pokey turns off the Devil's Machine, releasing Gygus, and then this happens. Holy mother of shit, I'm glad I didn't play this as a kid. I'd be traumatized. I can't believe this was rated K to A. When you finally see Gygus, you still don't know exactly what he is. He's just a vague, swirling red face. Even when he attacks, it says you cannot grasp the true form of Gygus' attack. It's as if Gygus isn't really a thing, but more of an idea. In fact, he can't even be harmed by physical attacks. You have to use Paulo's ability to pray for help. Then you see all the supporting characters from all over the game praying for your safety. The idea of praying goes along with the idea that Gygas is the vague embodiment of evil or the devil itself, which makes this whole battle feel like an exorcism. After each prayer, Gygas changes shape as the visuals start to look even more like you're in hell. And what's that? Oh, I am so freaked out. I don't even know what to say. Intentional or not, there is the distinct shape of a baby. More specifically, a fetus as seen through an ultrasound.
Whoa, and now look what it's doing.
It's like an ultrasound machine got possessed. If you've seen Gremlins 2, you remember the electric gremlin that goes inside the electrical equipment? It's a little bit like that, except if it was the devil. And if I wasn't already impressed by the technical capability on the Super Nintendo, this is something I've never seen it do. Think about it. You're fighting the background. It's a surreal, immersive experience that feels like you're actually fighting the console itself and that it's been possessed. And you want to see something really wild? You know those magic eye images where you stare at a pattern and let your vision go blurry or whatever until you see a 3D image pop out? You can actually do that here. I don't recommend it if you're not comfortable. There's several ways to do it and everybody's different. The technique that works best for me is I cross my eyes until the double images converge, creating a false focus, and that gives you this crazy three-dimensional depth. So if you want to freak yourself out even more, there you go. But I warned you. Many fans have given theories as to what the baby means, just like analyzing the baby at the end of 2001: A Space Odyssey. It's worth noting that there was a theory spreading around saying that Gygas himself is a fetus, and that the reason you traveled back in time was to destroy him before he was born. Now let me state, this is not my own theory, but it's interesting. An abortion, basically, to prevent the birth of an evil villain. Such a morally complex idea. And they say the entrance to Gygas' lair represents a woman's spread legs, which means the cave in the middle is, well, use your imagination. It's a vagina. When you go inside, you're traveling toward the uterus. Yeah. Again, keep in mind, this is just an old fan theory. Many fans have debated against it or pointed out other plot elements in the Mother series that contradict it, and the game designer Shigesato Itoi denied the theory, but I still think one of the artists might have put the baby in there, because it's the shape of a baby. That's the only thing that's clear. As far as the rest of the theory goes, if Itoi denied it, then it's not true. It's just based on a movie scene where a woman gets strangled and hacked to pieces, that's all. Itoi recalls being at the movie theater as a child and walking into the wrong film. It was called The Military Policeman and the Dismembered Beauty from 1957. There's a scene where a man strangles a woman, then carries her to an operating room where he cuts her up to hide the body. If you try to compare the film with EarthBound, you're not going to see any similarities. There's no lines of dialogue that carried over, even if they were somehow inspired by it. Even Itoi remembers the movie differently than how it actually is. But nevertheless, it shocked him and left a permanent impression. So when he was creating this final boss battle, he was remembering that feeling of childhood trauma. Gygas is just a symbol of all your childhood terrors. Itoi said Gygas is something you can't make sense of, and it gets the player's minds working. This means you can interpret it any way you want, just like any Stanley Kubrick film. That's what makes the game so great, is that we're all able to share our own different ideas. So what I'm about to say is just a personal hunch, nothing more. What I like to believe is that Gygas is an eternal being who's reincarnated as Ness. Whatever alien life form he existed as in the first Mother game was just another body for him to inhabit. There's no better way to explain it than in the lyrics of one of my favorite Black Sabbath songs, A National Acrobat, which itself is open to interpretation, but it goes hand in hand so well. I believe Gygas is the same traveling entity that is speaking from those lyrics. So I like to think Ness was the reincarnation of Gygas all along, and he's had powers that he can't even understand. Those powers are what influenced animals and people to become violent, so when he fights them, he's fighting against his own evil side. After all, so much of the game seems to exist inside his own imagination. It begins with Ness waking from bed, having heard a strange noise, then taking a bat and ordinary household items. An innocent, imaginative child arming himself in the only way he knows how. The sacred melodies that he records each remind him of something from his youth, connecting him closer and closer to his childhood. Only after he obtains these memories, he creates Magicant, where he's able to examine all his life experiences, putting everything into context and coming to terms with the events from his past. Only then can he go back to the source of the evil, the beginning. You go back to the very moment in the womb when Gygas was reincarnating into Ness. Yes, this kind of plays along with the much contested fetus theory, except the fetus is Ness and Gygas is trying to take over. So what you're doing is driving Gygas out, or performing a sort of exorcism, if you will. Even if this is not at all the idea that was intended, I find it more interesting, in my opinion. A double image of a demon and a baby. Who will take control, good or evil? Now I'm starting to sound like a movie trailer. And if I haven't already lost my mind, get this. The final battle takes place in a separate dimension, which exists as a metaphysical bus to transport Gygas from one life to the next. So when Ness and his friends leave their bodies behind, they become traveling entities themselves. That's the only way they could exist in the same dimension as Gygas in order to fight him. But they still can't defeat him on their own while trapped inside that world. They're powerless to win without help from the outside. And that's where the prayers come in. So everybody, please help! Help me beat this game! Yeah! I am blown away. That was one of the craziest games I've ever played. Sure, it has flaws, but I think it does belong on the list of mandatory Super Nintendo games. I think the world they created here has potential far beyond the games. Just look at how much imagination they put into the player's guide. There should be an EarthBound animated TV series. That could be amazing. Well, let's hope more things happen with the Mother series, and if not, the fans will still keep it alive. Mario, Mario, Mario. There were so many Mario games, it was like an infestation. But what about Luigi? Nobody cared about him. He got shoved to the sideline while his brother enjoyed all the fame. But then came Mario's Missing, the first game to star Luigi. He wasn't good enough to make it into the title, but hey, when this came out, I thought, that sounds like a great idea. But no, it would only further cement the character into an eternal waste. The first thing that happens, we see Mario get a bag thrown over his head. How does he get inside the bag? Is there a hole in the bottom? Why can't he get out? It begs an explanation. Anyway, it's up to Luigi to save him. He comes out riding on Yoshi. Now it's pretty obvious the graphics are ripped right from Super Mario World, and for the 8-bit NES, it looks quite good, but that only gives you the false impression that this game may be decent. The castle part only serves as a backdrop which takes you to the main game. The main game is walking around a boring-ass town talking to people who don't even look like they belong in a Mario game or a Luigi game. They tell you all about Liberty Island, and that's when it occurs to you, you're playing an educational game.
It's educational? I don't want to be educated. I want to rot my brain. This is Luigi's first game and this is what he gets?
What a piece of shit. The whole concept is that the Koopa Troopas have stolen objects from famous landmarks and you gotta get them back. The Koopa Troopas can't even hurt you. Now, come on. Come on! You jump on them and collect a money bag. That's it. But it's not a money bag even though it has a fucking dollar symbol. Instead, it's a bag that contains a stolen object. So you gotta find out which famous landmark it belongs to. You know,
What's Luigi doing anyway? Isn't he supposed to be rescuing Mario? Why is he in New York City trying to find landmarks? And what do you think that is? Looks like the Empire State Building being gripped by King Kong. Of course, the same ape that was able to climb the building is now big enough to close his hand around it. What's this say? Koopas seem to have gotten clean away with King Kong? Are you telling me you're supposed to return King Kong to the Empire State Building? This blows my mind on so many levels. First of all, how did the Koopas capture King Kong? Second, why is New York City concerned that King Kong was stolen from the Empire State Building? Remember when the planes were trying to shoot him down? Isn't it pretty clear they want Kong off the building? Third, if this is supposed to be an educational game teaching us things that belong to New York City, why in the holy mother of fuck did they choose a giant ape that doesn't even exist? Fourth, the bag. Okay, King Kong is like 50 feet tall or something, but in this game they made him out to be like 1,500 feet. How big is he exactly? Well, if bigger than the Empire State Building isn't a good enough analogy, then let's just say a lot bigger than that fucking bag! And fifth, I can't grasp the concept that King Kong is in a Mario game, the same character that was the direct inspiration for Donkey Kong, who also appeared in games with the Mario character. Are we running into some kind of paradox here or what? There's sort of like a help desk where you're supposed to return the object or the landmark or whatever, but the lady at the window won't talk to you unless you call Yoshi to come and give you an extra boost. Okay, so are you telling me that the reason that stupid bitch won't talk to you at first is because Luigi is too short to reach the window? For fuck's sake, he can jump higher than the shitting thing. How stupid do they think we are? Use Yoshi to reach the help desk. Well, how about use my greasy Italian plumber cock to whack you across the fucking face? The control is broken beyond belief, and you'd think, how could they fuck up the control on a Mario game? Well, for the most part it's fine, but sometimes when you go to a new screen it gets stuck for a second. God, move! Move! Ugh! God, what a shitload of fuck! You know what took me a real long time to figure out? How to go up the road. You have to be standing right on the dotted line. If you're just a few pixels off, nothing happens. In contrast, take a look at the Super Nintendo version. It's pretty much the same game, just with better graphics. But here, when you try to go up the road, all you get is the sound of cars blaring their horns. Who the hell's honking at me? Are the cars invisible? Well, anyway, the spot you're supposed to stand is the complete opposite. It's the sidewalk. I guess they were trying to be more realistic with this one. If there's one thing it teaches kids, it's not to walk down the middle of the road. But check it out, now we're in for some fuck. This is Mario's Time Machine. Judging from the title, you'd think it'd be awesome. Imagine Mario going back in time, kind of like Turtles in Time. I mean, no. Let's not even compare that. This is another educational game, and I put that in quotes because it's barely educational and barely a game. How can you call it a game when you can't even die? The idea is to find different objects and return them to their appropriate time period. To find these objects, you walk around a museum, go in a random door, and fight Koopa Troopas in the style of the classic Mario Bros. Arcade. Once you kill them all, the object appears. So once you get the object, you take it to the time machine, conveniently built out of pipes. Choose the time period, and you're on your way. But once you get here and find out you've chosen the wrong time, guess what? You gotta go back and fight the Koopas again. Man, does this become boring. It's one thing to make a shitty Mario game, but when you make the original Mario Brothers seem shitty, that's quite an accomplishment. So right off the bat, you have to associate an object with a year in history. If you go to the time period, you find clues amongst clocks and hourglasses. Wouldn't it make more sense if they gave you the clues before you went to the time period, not the other way around? The next thing you have to do is place the object in a specific spot. The object I have is an apple, the clues are talking about Isaac Newton, and there's a tree. Didn't Newton come up with his theory of gravity from an apple dropping from a tree? Makes sense, so I release the apple, I'm told it's the wrong location, and a bird comes and takes the apple away. So you know what I gotta do now? Go back to the fucking Koopas! But I don't even know what I did wrong. Should I have stood on top of the tree, or was I in the wrong time period altogether? You'll never know unless you run all around the game like a fucking asshole. I'd hate to say it, but there's also a Super Nintendo version. I guess we better take a quick look. Here it lets you pick the object right as the game starts. Then the time machine comes down. But unlike the NES version where you have different dates to choose from, here you have to pick a location, then manually put in a year and BC or AD, so there's only so many possible combinations you can get right. If it's a time and place that's not in the game, you won't find out until first you go surfing. Yeah, this takes the place of the whole Koopa section, but it's even more redundant. What you have to do here is collect 10 mushrooms and then go in a whirlpool, but the mushrooms are so small and you can barely tell them apart from these other things that look like sea urchins. And the sea urchins take your mushrooms away. And worse, there's a fucking time limit. If the time runs out, you gotta do it again. And how ironic is that there's a time limit to go back in time? Then you get to the time period, check out some clues, answer some questions, and more clues and questions, and oh, fuck. Just trust me, it's not too exciting.
You know what? Educate me. Please educate me. Because I'm going through sensory deprivation. I'm so fucking bored, I'd rather go back to school than play this shit. I'm aware that there's lots of other Mario educational games, many which were for PC, but these two on the NES and Super NES lead you to believe that they may be good. They're on the same platform which brought us all the great Mario classics. They feature the same graphics as Super Mario World, and the titles don't even sound educational. They could have been called Mario's Geography and Mario's History Lesson. But educational or not, these games are horrible abominations of space and time that give insult to the very fabric of nature itself. In other words, they suck.
In the 90s, Beavis and Butt-Head was a sensation. On the surface, it seemed like the most mindless, idiotic show on television, but on closer examination, it was funnier and smarter than you'd think. There were two segments to the show. First, there was the narrative segments. This is where you'd see the characters leave the house and interact with society. They'd cause all kinds of trouble and act without discipline. They seemed to represent some kind of teenage primal inner self, a warning of what our generation may come to if we don't subdue that inner self, a social satire covered in fart jokes. The other part of the show is where they watch music videos while commenting on them in a very loose and lowbrow kind of way. It gave us a contrast to the formal critic who traditionally tries to compose themselves in a professional, intelligent way, but really all you need is two jackasses sitting on a couch making fun of shit. Beavis and Butt-Head pioneered today's various styles of reviewing media. Speaking of media, it only seemed natural that they appeared in video games, like this one on Sega Genesis. It was released timely, during the show's popularity. So, a game based on Beavis and Butt-Head? We're there, dude. This is gonna be cool. Or is it? The plot goes like this. Beavis and Butt-Head get tickets to a Gwar concert, but a dog eats the tickets, barfs them up, then they get shredded in a riding mower, scattering the pieces of the tickets all over town, and you gotta find them. A bit far-fetched, but so is the show. In fact, everything about the game is in tune with the show. The humor is there, and the game's graphics look just like the show's animation style. It feels like you're playing a Beavis and Butt-Head episode. The controls take some time to get used to. It's hard to tell where you're allowed to walk. In the house, you're stuck on a two-dimensional path, even though it appears that you have a whole three-dimensional space to explore. The first thing you do is search the house for items, but anytime I try searching the couch, I end up selecting the TV, and it doesn't let you go back. The TV is the main hub where you select what stage to go to next, like Burger World, the fast food joint. Here, I'm wandering around behind the place. There's a door that requires a passcode. Okay, where do I find that? I'll check out the dumpster. Nope, nothing here. Just a dead rat. Looking around. Wait a minute, how'd I get back to the dumpster? There's no logical sense of direction. Try playing it with two players and you're screwed. You're both always going to be moving in different directions, causing the screen to change at inconvenient times, unless one player leads and masters the art of lightning-fast communication. Now, where's the passcode? I looked everywhere. You know where to find it? I know. In the Cheater's Guide. That's where. The passcode is Butt-Head? Okay, I thought it was just going to be numbers. I didn't know it was going to spell out a word. Why does the finger go in between the keys? It shouldn't do that. I hit the wrong key. How do I delete it? Oh, core? That's the backspace key? What's core? Correct? Correct. Oh my god. Oh, why couldn't they just have DEL for delete? And you know, who would ever be named Butthead anyway? Maybe his parents intended it to be pronounced Buttheed. Okay, now we're inside. That was way too much hassle. There's a guy demanding service. You go in the back to get his meal. You're supposed to drop the rat into the fryer along with some fries. So, did I drop it? Or what? What am I supposed to do? Oh, the drop button up there is not for dropping the items into the fryer. No, it's for dropping them on the floor, which is so conveniently hidden by the foreground plane that you would never know the difference. To drop them in the fryer, you select the items, then use the C button. Ah, silly me. I'm such a shit feed. Who'd have ever thought it'd be self-explanatory? Drop the item in the fryer by selecting drop. Figuring this game out is as awkward as trying to wipe your ass in the dark with a piece of floss while doing a handstand. Or like a one-legged cat trying to bury a turd on a frozen pond. So then you feed the guy this glorious dead rat Happy Meal. Yeah. He pukes it up, and what comes out? A piece of the tickets. How did he eat a piece of the tickets? I know it's just a game, but come on! That'd be like if I ripped up a piece of paper and then somehow a piece ended up in a dog's ass across the street. Everywhere you walk, there's something on the ground trying to kill you. Beavis and Butt-Head each have their own health meter, so you can switch between them to conserve health, but it doesn't take long for it to drain, and it doesn't matter who dies, whether it's Beavis or Butt-Head, all it takes is one of them, and the game's over. No extra lives, no continues, nothing. You can save the game, but you have to make it back alive to the exit, return to the house, and go to the poster where you can put the piece of the tickets in a safe place. Then it gives you a password. But after you die, it doesn't continue. It still resets back to the beginning. In other words, every time you die, you have to enter the password. It shouldn't make you do that! The purpose of a password is for when you turn the game off and come back another time! Okay, so let's enter the password. Wait, I picked password? What happened? Watch as I clearly highlight password. I hit start, and the game starts up from the beginning, as if nothing happened. You have to hit A, or possibly any of the other buttons. Now you get the password screen. Yay! But it's made of upper and lowercase letters. When you're writing that down, how are you going to tell the difference between an upper and lowercase X or O or K? What about the L? That's not even a real lowercase L. It's just a smaller uppercase L. And how are you supposed to enter the password when the damn arm is in the fucking way? The dumbasses who made this game have all the intelligence of a brick? Combined? Did Beavis and Butt-Head design this game? Alright, done. What's happening? Okay, guess what button you press this time? Start. Wait, where's my fucking health? Where's my fucking items? The ticket piece is still there, but other than that, the password is useless. What good is a password if you're almost dead and all your items are gone? I don't want to collect this shit all over again. This game is less fun than 52 card pickup. I don't even know what to say. I'm out of words. So, how do you refill your health? One way, you could eat the rotten burger next to the dumpster, then go to the sick room at the hospital, if you can make it that far before the burger continuously drains all your health. And even if you make it that far, good luck getting back out of the hospital. They block the exit with some fart knocker who thinks he's at a barbecue. At first I thought he was wearing a doctor's smock, but it's a cooking apron. And he has a burger on a spatula, I guess. I think they put him on the wrong stage by accident. By the way, there is a quicker way to get out of a stage, by choosing sucks, but all the items you collected in the stage are now gone, making it pointless. Another way to get health is to shoot a million spitballs at these police officers who look like Don Knotts. They sometimes give you health. But look at how many hits it takes to kill this butt munch. Every stage, no matter where you go, the enemies are too abundant, and if you step back an inch, another one spawns in its place. You're caught in a surge of bowling balls, skateboards, and pedestrians. Jeez, enough is enough. There should be a name for this kind of game. Actually, there is. It's called crap. There's a part where you get a gun, but most of the enemies in this area are all birds and rats, which are next to impossible to shoot. The rats especially, because they're too close to the ground. Did you think you can duck and shoot? No, you can't. In the sewers, most of the gaps are too wide to jump. Get over there! Get over there! Ah! Fuck! You know what, you fucking game? I banged your mom. The part I hate most of all is the hospital. You're racing down the halls and there's a naked guy chasing after you. If he catches you, it's game over. Why is he naked anyway? I know why he's naked. Because he has no clothes on. And what are these things? Health? No! In any real game, a white container with a red cross on it is always health. But not in this piece of shit. Here, they slow you down. And you're in the middle of the screen, giving you no time to react. It's over. I don't know. I guess to give a closing statement, while viewed on its own merits, it is non-derivative of its genre. However, when it has an originality, it lacks in fun. Though it tries to bear the mantle of a problem-solving thinking game, it speaks less to the brain and more to the anus. I don't know. It's one of the most brutal, most unforgiving, worst games I ever played. It's so bad it goes beyond analysis, and I've critiqued so many games, I don't even know what to say anymore. That's it. It says it right there. The game is telling me that it sucks. That's all I need to say. This game sucks. That's the phrase it all comes down to. That's where it all started.
This game sucks.
Beavis and Butt-Head taught me everything I need to know. You know what else they taught me? Change it.
Let's start off with Hotel Mario. The price on this one, I gotta be honest, was $0 because this one was a donation. Thanks, Casey. You might as well have sent me a turd wrapped in tinfoil. As the game begins, you get a ridiculous cutscene.
Nice of the princess to invite us over for a picnic, eh, Luigi? I hope she made lots of spaghetti.
Reminds me of the Super Mario Bros. Super Show, but way more cheesy. The game is not what you'd expect. I mean, with a title like Hotel Mario, I guess I really didn't know what to expect, but not this. All you do is run around and shut doors. Yeah, seriously, the goal is to shut all the doors before the time runs out, then advance to the next stage. Couldn't they have come up with something better? Like, how about kill all the Goombas and Koopa Troopas, but shut doors? As much fun as that sounds, it's even more fun when the doors keep opening again. Just when you think you're about to shut the last door and beat the level, another door opens, and by the time you run all the way over there, another one opens. Also, it seems that there's always somebody in your way. Like if I jump at the wrong time, I hit the Goomba on the top. Even if I try to stomp an enemy, I end up bouncing up and getting my ass killed. Ugh, look here, I'm totally fucked. Here I go, I'm kicking ass. Fuck, you gotta watch the doors. Speaking of doors, you can actually hide in the doors, which helps out sometimes. But these things with the arrows, let's talk about them. They're elevators, or they could be stairwells, whatever. Where the arrow points make sense. They go up, they go down. But the controls take some time to get used to. By instinct, if I see a down arrow, I press down. But that's not how it works. You have to hit up, regardless of which elevator you're on. And when you arrive at the other end, you're in that hiding position, so you have to hit down to step out. So often, you find yourself having to hit up on the down arrow, and when you go down to the up arrow, you press down. That's fucking confusing. And the elevators don't always go where you expect. No, it takes me to the other side where I get killed by the fucking caterpillar. The game is actually more reminiscent of arcade games from the early 80s like Donkey Kong and Mario Brothers. And for something like that, Hotel Mario actually isn't too bad. It is challenging, I'll give it that. But the fact is, this was not the early 80s, this was 1994, and it was a next generation console. Originally, they planned to release a sequel to Super Mario World titled Super Mario's Wacky Worlds, but it was cancelled, and what we got was this. End of story.
let me take you back to the era of video game mascots. It was during the console wars when competitors were pushing their own characters. Nintendo had Mario, Link, Samus, and Sega had Sonic, Toe Jam and Earl, Ecco the Dolphin. Yeah, that's right, an ordinary looking dolphin. Not a skateboarding dolphin with a mohawk that shoots lasers and makes wisecracking jokes. No, just an ordinary dolphin. It seemed pretty much everyone who had a Genesis had this game in their collection, yet nobody wanted it. Seriously, I've never met one person who said anything nice about this game, but it somehow tricked every Genesis owner into buying it. And Sega really pushed the shit out of it too. It got ported onto different Sega consoles, including the Sega CD. It got a better sequel, Tides of Time. It got a toddler edition called Echo Jr. It got a shitty Tiger-style electronic game. It got this peak of shit. And it even got a goddamn reboot on the Sega Dreamcast. Speaking of which, the Dreamcast is 21 years old this month. Wow, the Dreamcast is old enough to drink. So here you go, Dreamcast. Have a Rolling Rock on me. What a lightweight. Today I want to focus on the original Ecco the Dolphin, but a review on the shitty Dreamcast might show up down the line, with its awful dolphin driving controls and creepy rear view face cam like Ecco is a fucking car. Ecco face cam's funny as shit. But here we go. The game starts you off just swimming around with a bunch of other dolphins. You can do a dash attack, you can shoot a sonar wave that lets you talk to the other dolphins, and also works as a map if you hold the button down. The opening is pretty straightforward. You're just chilling out in the sea with your dolphin friends, and then BAM! You get hit with one of the most traumatizing moments in video gaming history. Seriously, that shit just came out of nowhere. When you jump as high as you can, it triggers a tornado. The screen flashes and every one of your dickhead dolphin friends gets sucked into the air while the Genesis sound chip bombards you with the worst sound it has to offer. No joke. I actually know someone who, as a kid, was so freaked out by this part, they hid it under their bed, and under their bed it remained for years. True story. This might be one of the earliest examples of a video game jump scare. This was back in '92, when most people playing video games were kids. This game might have done more damage to kids' minds than Mortal Kombat. Who would have thought a game about a wimpy dolphin with stars on its head would be one of the most terrifying things ever? If you manage to play past this point, you'll hit the first true level of the game, the Undercaves, and this is where shit really hits the fan and you're introduced to one of the most annoying things in the game, the air meter. Ecco is a dolphin, so that makes him a mammal, of course, and mammals ain't fish, so they can't breathe underwater. I've read in zoo books that the average dolphin can hold its breath for 8 to 10 minutes, but the dolphin in this game? 1 minute, 20 seconds. And not only that, it fucking dies. Pathetic. Really fucking pathetic. Ecco is not supposed to be your average dolphin. He's a super dolphin. Why can he only hold his breath for a minute and a half? I think I can hold my breath longer. Is he a goddamn chain smoker or something? Chill out on the fucking Newports, Ecco. You can replenish the air meter by reaching the surface, finding air pockets, or places with bubbles. A majority of the levels take you deep under the ocean, and you only get a few places for air. It's like the underwater stages in Sonic, but way more frustrating. Each level gives you a laundry list of chores to complete with no clear direction, and 0 checkpoints. The air meter makes you rush, which causes you to make mistakes, and of course, die. So the game boils down to just swimming around for 20 minutes here and there and trying to figure out where to go and dying over and over again. It's an under the sea frustrating fuck frenzy. So in the first level, you have to nudge this glowing shell over to these boulders, which makes them disappear. I don't get why, but apparently this seashell is so strong it disintegrates boulders. This is a lot easier said than done. Ecco controls like he's swimming in vodka rather than salt water. Every time I miss the goddamn rocks, I have to swim a quarter mile away to make the shell reappear. All that just to completely fuck it up yet again, and then you gotta repeat the process over and over and over. Fuck! Come on. Ah! Fuck! I don't know how many tries it took me, but it was a lot. And then after all that, I found out I needed a key glyph. You see, there's these giant crystals all over the levels. Some are keys and some are like doors. You need to touch the key crystal so you can shoot the door crystal. It makes me want to shoot a meth crystal into Echo's ass flipper. So I swam around until I found the key glyph crystal in this cave, and it really sucks to get to. There's invisible sea currents in random places, so the controls will just go dead without any clear reason why. All the while, blowfish are flying all over trying to insert themselves into Echo's anus while he just floats there like a jackass. I get the key, shoot away the door, but I'm running low on air. So I gotta turn back to the air pocket real quick to catch my breath before moving forward, and the door cliff re-fucking spawned and won't let me pass! Are you kidding me? I have to go all the way back to the key again? Oh, the sea is a cruel mistress. So I go all the way back, get the key glyph, shoot the door, and then encounter the giant octopus. You have to gently tap the controller to get past it. If you try to go any faster, the octopus will fuck slap you back to the password screen, which means doing everything over again. So get the key glyph, disintegrate the rocks, shoot the door glyph, breathe that fucking air, and swim slowly past the octopus. Again. Okay. Oh, I'm almost there. You just gotta get past the door. Fuck, I'm running out of air! Yeah, okay. No! The level isn't actually that hard. It's just a complete lack of direction that keeps messing me up. I'm finally through the undercaves and on to the next shitstorm. The next level has you rescuing dolphins that are stuck throughout the caves. There's 3 dolphins you need to find to exit the stage. Also, you 100% need to find them all so you can upgrade your sonar, and it'll let you attack enemies with it. I saved 1 dolphin and then accidentally exited the level. Since it let me progress, I didn't think anything was wrong until I found out you need to find all 3 or you don't get the sonar upgrade. So I have to reset, enter the password, and find all 3 of these stupid fucking dolphins. There's always an easy dolphin that's right near the beginning. It's just a tease though, because usually you have to go damn near to hell and back to find the other 2 dolphins. You need to use boulders to swim down into the tunnels without getting pushed back up the current, and then hopefully pick the right path. Most of the paths lead absolutely nowhere, and you end up having to return to the surface just to head back down again. I finally found 2 dolphins and just need 1 more. The last one is all the way near the end of the level, so you need a rock to block the currents. Oh fuck! I missed— wait, no. Oh god damn it, the current pushed me out the exit so I missed the sonar upgrade. Again! I have to do everything all over again! Again! Then again, after repeating this level so many goddamn times, I basically have it memorized. You end up dying and starting over so many times that it becomes muscle memory. And after all that, I finally saved the 3rd dolphin, got the sonar upgrade, and got to the next level. Which is rescuing 3 more dolphins? So now that I've gotten that out of my system, this level is like the last one, but way worse. Again, there's a dolphin right at the beginning to tease you. I really don't get why this dolphin couldn't just swim up. It's literally just straight down from the beginning. This dolphin's just a lazy piece of shit, and I hate him. The second dolphin is also kind of easy to get to, but I can understand why it would need help getting back. It's a bit far off from the rest of the pod. This dolphin is okay in my book. This level has you using the glowing shell again, but this time it just falls into place without you having to nudge it. I guess the game coders decided to have a little mercy on you here, considering the last dolphin is a bitch and a half to find. First, you have to swim through this tunnel filled with these weird tentacles that grab onto you. You have to do a mix of dashing and swimming real fast to get out. All the while, the game slows down to a crawl. And up to this point, it was so fucking fast. I mean, that processing is so goddamn blast! So then you have to swim past another octopus and find these weird spiky balls that break rocks. They're like the shell, but they're spiky balls instead. To get them to the rock, you have to scoot them around using your sonar. This is super fucking frustrating. It isn't always clear on where you need to position them, and it's very easy to get them stuck in the wall. I guess you could say this game is really balls to the wall. Like, look at this. I got them all the way to the boulder, but I was off by an inch, and now they're stuck in the rocks and I'm fucked. So, you know what I gotta do? I gotta go back and do it all again. This time, I got them in the right place and broke the boulder, but I went the wrong way and ended up back at the beginning of the level! So, time to swim back through the tunnel of tentacles and past the octopus. Thankfully, the boulder's still gone. Oh, great, a fucking door glyph, and I haven't found the key. The key is all the way back where the second dolphin was. Back to the door glyph. I shoot it away and move on to a maze of tunnels that are infested with jellyfish and crabs that just fly all over the place. But they're not really crabs, they're just flat pictures of crabs that don't even move. But they're flying all over. Bullshit. So finally I get down to the furthest depths of the maze, and there he is, the asshole dolphin. How the fuck did this dolphin manage to even get here? That makes absolutely no sense. How in the crap hell did this suck bitch dolphin get down here? How did it pass the octopus, tentacles, crabs, and jellyfish without dying? Did it also shoot the spiky walls into the boulder and then put the boulder back? How is it even alive? Echo dies after a minute and a half without oxygen, but I've been playing this level for almost 20 minutes and this dolphin hasn't died. Okay, who cares? All that matters is I've rescued the last one, and they gave me another new sonar upgrade that makes sharks confused. Awesome. Time to get the hell out of this godforsaken level and never return. So, back through the tentacle tunnel, the octopus room, the crab maze, and I'm finally nearing the end. Oh, and great, I'm dangerously low on health and air! Please, for the love of fuck, I just want this to end, please! Okay, I got the spiky things, just have to get them to the end, and I'm out. Fuck off, crab! Fuck you! Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you! Damn it, wait, where are the spiky things? Fuck! This game shoots diarrhea at its festering blowhole, raining down on all the aquatic ass masters in the Atlantic Ocean. I swear on Poseidon's puckered piss hole that this game's making me want to cram a crusty crab up my cornhole. Ecco the Dolphin? More like fucking shit dolphin! Motherfucking Mortal Kombat. You don't get much more badass than that. When this sumbitch came out, it changed the landscape of gaming entirely. It garnered praise and a ton of controversy. Even the government was trying to ban it until they came up with the bright idea of ratings. It's crazy to think with how violent the series is today, this caused an uproar. Nowadays, the gore isn't too crazy, but back in '92, holy shit. It was unlike anything we'd ever seen before. While Street Fighter II was revolutionary for fighting games, Mortal Kombat was revolutionary for video games as a whole. The game was turned into a comic book, cartoon, movie, live-action series, trading cards, and of course the album by the Immortals with that legendary single, Techno Syndrome, which became the Mortal Kombat theme. But the whole album just pummels you with a meteor shower of sizzling hot beats! One of the biggest things about this game was the special moves and the fatalities, which all required complex button combinations, which we had to commit to memory. You know how much of our brain power that used up? We were sitting in school and supposed to be listening to our history lesson, but instead we're tuning out the teacher and just thinking forward high kick, down up low punch. You know, we're all hopped up on GamePro magazines. We can't wait to get to the arcade. So once the bell rings and school lets out, that's the time to let it rip, to let it fucking loose, run in the bus screaming, Mortal Kombat! Yeah, just like the kid in the commercial. I mean, he goes out in the streets and screams Mortal Kombat as if his life depends on it, with raw emotions tearing through like a shockwave, paving a radius of mighty force emanating from the ground where he stands. And then a crowd marches out, as if they heard the call to action, as if to say, damn straight, Mortal Kombat. Because this isn't just a game, this is a way of fucking life. The commercial, of course, was announcing that Mortal Kombat was coming to home consoles. The year of our Lord, September 13th, 1993. Mortal fucking Monday. This would be the day a crowd of edgy 90s teens gathered in the streets to celebrate. Because when it was in the arcades, it was always surrounded and guarded by bigger kids, the quarter hogs. But now, we'd be taking it back to our own homes. That commercial announcing Mortal Monday was like a call of freedom, a call that begged to be reckoned with, a call that defined a generation. Mortal Kombat! While the definitive way to play Mortal Kombat will always be the arcade, people couldn't wait to bring the game home and start ripping out hearts and spines from their couches. Each port is more or less a fair recreation of the arcade version, however they all have minor and sometimes major differences that keep the game from being 100% there. We still ate it up though. Mortal Kombat's launch went down as one of the biggest game releases in history, and we all crowded around our living rooms to witness it in all its violent glory. So, how do all these ports stack up against each other? Like this. First, let's look at the Super Nintendo version. This port was published by Acclaim and developed by Sculptured Software. After turning it on, you get this little animation of Goro walking up and punching the Acclaim logo. Yeah, and of course, Acclaim is the company that bought LJN. Yeah, punch that logo, Goro. Yeah. Punch the fuck out of it. Yeah, I could watch him punch that fucking logo all day. So, right off the bat, I'm going to address the elephant in the room. The thing that everybody talks about is that the Super Nintendo version was censored and is infamous for removing the blood or replacing it with sweat. The sweat thing? If that's really supposed to be sweat, you know what? That's kind of disgusting. I think it's even more disgusting than blood. I mean, how sweaty are these fighters to begin with? They only just started fighting and like a gallon of sweat came out of Scorpion. I hope they're slamming down Gatorade in between matches, otherwise they're going to have some serious dehydration issues. In my opinion, the first Mortal Kombat was never known to be a tight and precise fighting game. It was more of a mindless blood sport that you and your friends played for fun. And it was just the style of it, how it was basically like Enter the Dragon, the game. But removing the blood, it just makes this a mediocre fighter on the Super Nintendo, with Street Fighter II Turbo out the same year. But sadly, compared to all the other issues this game has, the lack of blood is only minor. But before we get into this shit, let's talk about what this game does well. For one, the game looks pretty damn close to the arcade. The graphics are clean, the sound is decent, and the voice samples sound pretty clear. But all that is shit on by some of the most frustrating controls I've ever felt. The game just feels unresponsive. There's been so many times where I'm hitting buttons and nothing happens. Sometimes I'll be nowhere near the enemy, but able to sweep them infinitely from a mile away. So another thing that blows is getting hit while shooting a projectile cancels your projectile. In the arcade version, if I shoot ice but get hit by the opponent's projectile, my ice still hits them, but in the Super Nintendo version, it disappears. I don't know why they would program it like this. All this really comes to a head when you hit the endurance levels. Oh my lord, the endurance levels. I spent more time on these 3 levels than I did on the rest of the game. Having to beat 2 opponents while struggling to control the game makes these 3 levels a shit show. I can't stand it when I beat the first opponent and the second opponent comes in and cheap shots me.
In the arcade, these parts are tough, but they still seem fair. It really does come down to a test of endurance, but the Super Nintendo version is a test of patience. The computer gets really cheap here too. It's demoralizing. Having to continue over and over just to lose when you're so close to the end is really painful. What's worse is Goro and Shang Tsung are fucking pushovers. I destroyed them on my first try. I was kind of disappointed. Can you have some fucking balance here? And speaking of disappointing, let's take a look at the fatalities. In every version of the game, the only people whose fatalities stay the same are Scorpion, Sonya, and Liu Kang. I never really understood Liu Kang's fatality. He flops all around and uppercuts you. It's awful. Kano's is also kind of the same, but I don't understand what he's ripping out of Liu Kang. I guess it's his sweat gland or something? Sub-Zero loses his famous head rip and instead freezes and shatters you. That makes sense, actually. I think it's a more appropriate fatality for Sub-Zero, but what I don't understand is how do they scream after being frozen and shattered? Raiden's fatality is pretty cool too. He electrocutes you into dust. To be honest, I actually like this over his original fatality. The pit fatality is pretty lame. Without blood, it just looks wrong. When Johnny Cage gets knocked down, he just chills out down there. He looks completely fine, like by some miracle he fell all the way down and missed the spikes. Speaking of Johnny Cage, his fatality is by far the worst in the game, and maybe even the whole series. He kicks you in the chest and his foot disappears while they just flail around. I mean, this right here is the epitome of not even trying. I mean, you couldn't even try to make that happen. His foot disappears before it even touches. What is going on? Well, this gets my award for the shittiest fatality. Alright, well, let's move on to the next one. The Genesis version. Now, let me tell you straight out, this is a deal breaker to me, because 3 buttons? 3 buttons for Mortal Kombat? How does that work? Both high punch and low punch share the A button. A regular tap is a low punch. If you're holding a direction, it turns it to high punch. B and C are both the kick buttons, and start is block. So it can be done, but the thing is, you just gotta get a 6-button controller. If you have the 6-button controller, you're fine. The main advantage this one has over the Super Nintendo is the blood. Yep, it has the blood. After you put in a code, that is. Without the code, you get censored fatalities and no blood. The censored fatalities in this one are actually worse than the Super Nintendo version. Sub-Zero just uppercuts you into the air, Johnny Cage shadow kicks you off the screen, Raiden shoots lightning and you fall, and Kano steals your wallet? He steals your wallet. Yeah, I mean, I guess he takes your wallet and the shock of it kills you. There's absolutely no reason to play this without the code. The pit is actually turned off without the code, so fuck this shit. Put in that blood code. God damn it. Reset and hit ABACABB or ABACAB at the text in the beginning. There's also a second code called the Dullard code. You get this one by hitting down, up, left, left, A, right, down at the start screen. Get it? It spells Dullard. Besides unlocking blood and the real fatalities, you also get a cheat menu that lets you do some cool stuff. You can make it so the computer always uses a fatality, make Reptile appear before every fight, give yourself infinite continues, and make the head of Fergus McGovern bob around the moon. Fergus McGovern was the founder of Probe Software, and his face pops up as an Easter egg in their Mortal Kombat ports. He shows up in Mortal Kombat 2 as a secret fatality, the Fergality. Yeah, no joke, the Fergality. But anyway, back to the Genesis port. At first glance, it doesn't look as good as the Super Nintendo version. The colors are all muted and everyone has these red pixels around them. But hey, fuck it, there's blood, right? That's all you need. And the controls are actually responsive and don't feel like there's 8 seconds of lag. The music has that signature Genesis feel and actually sounds groovier than the Super Nintendo. I mean, listen to the Courtyard music on the Super Nintendo. And compare it to the Genesis.
So overall, it's a decent port with flaws that don't harm the overall experience. Of course, you have to have the 6-button controller though. Now, let's fuck it all up and play Mortal Kombat on Game Boy. Yeah, can you believe I'm doing this? You want to bring Mortal Kombat with you wherever you go, huh? Well, to that I say don't. Just don't. Wait till you get home, because this is easily the worst version of Mortal Kombat I've played so far. This one was also made by Probe, but they must have rushed through this and spent all their game development talent on the Genesis version. The music is a mess of screeches and farts. It just sounds like ass and a half. The game only has 6 characters instead of 7. You can't fit one more guy? They could do 6, but they just couldn't do 7. Johnny Cage is left out on this one, but I'm pretty sure he's cool with it. Liu Kang has one big tooth. Raiden looks like someone walked in on him in the bathroom. Scorpion and Sub-Zero are barely distinguishable. And Sonya has these dark, soulless eyes. She freaks me the fuck out. The game just gets worse and worse as you play it. If you thought the Super Nintendo was unresponsive, this game changes the entire definition of unresponsive. There's a good second of input lag on all the moves. Lots of the time, you kick through the enemy. How did I not hit them? Am I a ghost and didn't know it? Is that the twist? Trying to pull off a special move is a fucking feat. Sometimes I get them and other times I'll do all the same shit only to get my ass handed to me while I flail around. And don't even think of trying out a fatality. They might as well not even be in the game, because I tried and I couldn't even do one of them. And it doesn't help the Game Boy has only 2 buttons. Yeah, if I had a problem with the Genesis having 3, Game Boy only has 2. How do you play Mortal Kombat with 2? And yeah, okay, the Game Boy has limitations. There's certain things they just couldn't help. But you know what? Mortal Kombat 2 on Game Boy was pretty decent. So I think they just fucked up here. Even if I could pull the fatalities off, guess what? They're awful. For example, Kano just kicks you in the air. Yeah, not worth the frustration. It's like right after they made the Genesis version, they said, oh yeah, you gotta make a Game Boy version too. And they were like, oh shit, we only have 7 minutes. And this is what they gave us. After playing through it for almost an hour, I managed to get to Goro, but boy, he fucked my shit up. In the first round, he was super easy, but then he went into like a panic mode and decimated me. I lost all my continues and just couldn't force myself to give a shit. Game over. Boy, Nintendo's really getting the shitty end of the Mortal Kombat port stick. Well, hopefully Sega can salvage it with the Game Gear version and round it out nicely. This one has a blood code, and it's in color! Oh, and unlike the Game Boy, has Johnny Cage. But no Kano. Overall, it's okay, but compared to the Game Boy, it's legendary. I mean, if you're looking for Mortal Kombat on the go, this is the one you want. All the fatalities are here too, just Game Gearified. Sadly, there's no pit fatality, even though the only 2 levels you get are Goro's Lair and the pit. The game does have some issues. It looks real choppy and slow. The background always jitters when you move, and the game feels like the characters are underwater. And for some reason, Goro is shorter in this version. Looks so weird. Goro's supposed to be the most intimidating boss in the game. He's a huge 4-armed monster man and the prince of the Shokan race. He commands the armies of Outworld, but here he just looks goofy. It's like when they made tiny Goros as pets in the Judge Dredd arcade game. Maybe we'll do that sometime. Well, it's passable, but still kinda shitty, and I can't end on something that's kinda shitty, you know? So instead, let's end on some real ass vomit! Mortal Kombat on Tiger Electronics. 2 of them! 2! Yeah, cause why the fuck not? And would you know, Hasbro is bringing these things back? So the timing's perfect. So the first of the 2 was a standard Tiger Electronic in '93, and the commercial was hilarious. It was a bunch of kids on a playground trying to get rid of the damn game. Even the kids in the commercial didn't want this thing. But then in '94, they made a Tiger Barcodes version, or Barcods. Yeah, let's see what Tiger did to Mortal Kombat. Yeah, look at this. That Tiger fucking mauled it! Unfortunately, my Tiger handheld of Mortal Kombat doesn't work, you know, so I can't play it. All I see is a jumbled mess of a person on the screen, so we could just forget about this one. Except for the fact that they made Tiger handheld emulators. What the fuck? Yeah, Tiger handheld emulators. I'm not even kidding. I think it's safe to say we've officially hit the bottom of the porto potty when it comes to video game emulation. A human being had to actually scan all the artwork in the games and program them to work on a MAME emulator. So what you're seeing here is an emulated version of the Tiger Electronic Mortal Kombat. And now it sucks balls in HD. Surprisingly, the game features all 7 original characters, as well as Goro and Shang Tsung. Wow! The Game Boy and Game Gear version couldn't even get all 7. Well, that's 1 point for Tiger Electronics. Go get 'em, Tiger! But each character is just the same with graphics added. Sonya is the worst of all because she shares the same body as Johnny Cage and Liu Kang. There actually do exist button combinations where you can pull off special moves. This is also how you do the finishing moves, which just knocks them out. It's shitty, but honestly, I think I'd rather play this than the Game Boy version. Moving on, we have the Tiger Barcods version. This one's a bit bigger and actually has real sound instead of just beeps and boops. There's only 4 selectable characters in this one: Liu Kang, Raiden, Sub-Zero, and Scorpion. And Goro's the only boss, no Shang Tsung. The special moves and fatalities are the same as in the other Tiger game, but this time when you pull off a fatality, the opponent turns into a skeleton, which is kinda cool for a Tiger game. I mean, who would have thought? Fatalities in a Tiger game? And one really weird thing about this is that it comes with trading cards. No, not these trading cards. These kind of trading cards, which are the kind that you scan to get all kinds of power-ups and shit. I guess that's kinda cool, but you never know what the cards are gonna do. Some cards give your character or the opponent more strength, defense, life, etc. But some cards outright kill you. Why would you want a card that kills you before the fight even starts? What is the point? And it's not like there's any descriptions on these cards that really tell you exactly what they do. It's just a guessing game, so they threw the death ones on here just to be assholes. There's also a card that kills the opponent without even having to fight them. Just scan it and they die. You can actually beat the entire game by just scanning this card. Yeah, so in case you're planning to speed run a Tiger game, you could just scan this 10 times. I don't see the point. Why even turn the damn thing on to begin with? Well, those are all the ports shot out on Mortal Monday, as well as some extra dingleberries. I know I missed some other ports like the Sega CD version, but that one is mostly the same as the Genesis with some enhancements. Also, I mainly wanted to stick to the original console releases. And the Tiger ones needed to be shit on because they exist. Well, to this day, Mortal Kombat is still one of gaming's biggest franchises. After 28 years, it's still going strong. And even though it was inspired by Street Fighter, it set itself apart and inspired all kinds of other fighting games, many of which are clones or rip-offs of Mortal Kombat. Universal Theme Park Adventure on GameCube, a game based on a theme park that was based on movies by Universal Studios, the giant movie-making machine that made some of the greatest films of all time. From the classic monster movies of the 30s and 40s to the Spielberg masterpieces like Jaws, E.T., and Jurassic Park. Over the years, Universal has celebrated its movie legacy by slowly converting its Hollywood studio location into a big amusement park for the public and destroying film history. You know the Opera House set from the classic Phantom of the Opera that stood on stage 28 for 90 years? Destroyed. The oldest surviving movie set in history, gone overnight to make way for a Harry Potter ride. But, hey, Universal Theme Park was still a lot of fun. You know, in the Back to the Future DeLorean, and then there's volcanoes and shit, and then you're riding the bike with E.T., and then the truck comes and almost hits you, and then you're on the waterfall, and the T-Rex comes out, and then fucking Jaws is jumping out of the water, and King Kong shaking the tram, and then there's the earthquakes, and then those other movies that you don't even know what the fuck they are, nobody cares. It was awesome. By the 90s, this whole theme park idea was so huge, they opened up a new one in Florida. This is when Nintendo helped advertise it in the movie The Wizard, and then in 2001, Nintendo started promoting it again with this game, which I think sounds awesome. What a great idea to take all these movies and put them into one using the theme park as a way to tie them all together, and on a new advanced console. How could you go wrong? What the fuck is this shit? You're a kid running around the park. While the graphics are fine and definitely seem to represent the basic idea of what a Universal theme park looks like, the camera angles are a problem. First of all, it never moves. You know how in most other three-dimensional games like Super Mario 64, which came out years before, the camera follows the character around? Here, the camera is in a fixed position and only switches to another angle when you reach a certain point on the screen, so you might have to run far into the distant background or all the way up into the foreground without even knowing what's ahead of you. So finding your way around is a total nightmare. Sometimes when you come to a new screen, you start out in the background. You're just a tiny dot somewhere on the screen, obscured by a crowd of people. Where am I? Oh, there I am. It's like a game of Where's Waldo. Now let's get on some rides. What's this? There's a line? Yes, at theme parks you have to wait in lines, but why'd they include that in the game? Could they have left that out? But this is even worse than real life because Woody Woodpecker won't even let you get in the line, even though there's less than 10 people. Could you imagine going to Universal and the lines are that short? That would be your lucky day. That would be like a 2-minute wait. But no, Woody's gotta send you away. Like, go away, asshole. Fuck you, you Woody Bunny fucking Pecker piece of shit. You know what you have to do to get in the line? You would never believe this. You have to pick up trash and put them in trash cans. Has anyone ever had to pick up trash at Universal to get on the rides? What kind of idiotic idea is this? First of all, finding the trash is a hassle because of the fixed camera positions. The trash might be as small as a tiny speck on the ground. Then finding the trash cans you'd think would be easy, but they're rare to come by. If a real Universal theme park had as few trash cans as in this game, then they actually would have this much garbage lying around. The worst thing of all, whenever you pick up a piece of trash, it's only 10 points. But to get on a single ride, you might need more than 2,000 points. So you're gonna have to pick up a lot of trash. I want to see Jaws, Jurassic Park. You have access to all these major franchises, but instead they just send the gamer around collecting trash? What were they thinking? They should have called the game Universal Theme Park Janitor. Yeah, great idea. Right up there with Super Plumber Mario Toilet Cleaner. This kid isn't even an employee of the park. Why would he have to pick up all this trash? Poor kid. Imagine all the stuff he has to handle. Fries that have been stepped in, wrappers that are covered in ants, paper bags that are filled with vomited cotton candy. Ugh. Maybe he didn't buy a ticket or something. Maybe the park has a special deal with him like, okay kid, we'll let you on the rides for free, but you gotta help us clean up all this trash. You can also get points from shaking hands with costumed characters like Creature from the Black Lagoon and E.T. Dude, I fucking shook hands with E.T. I mean, come on. So you get all this trash, throw them in the trash can, get enough points, and then guess what? You still can't get on the rides, because you have to cash the points in at the store and buy a fucking hat. Remember that time you went to Universal? They wouldn't let you on the rides unless you wear a stupid fucking hat. And each ride has its own special hat. How do all those other people get in the line? I don't see them wearing hats. At last, let's talk about the rides. They're just little mini games that end quicker than an actual Universal ride. Back to the Future, you're just flying around in a DeLorean through prehistoric times trying to stop Biff, who's also in a DeLorean. Jaws, you're on a boat trying to throw things at the shark. Surprisingly, the camera actually moves, but you still have no control over it. It takes forever to aim, and the shark moves way faster than you, so chances of hitting it are slim. you have as much luck trying to time jerking off onto a passing car. Believe it or not, this game actually makes the NES version of Jaws seem excellent. Jurassic Park, this is just a simple rail shooter. Move the crosshairs and shoot the dinosaurs. This may have worked as an arcade game that you drop a few quarters in, not something you'd sit and play at home. Like an arcade game, it's over just as fast, although much more expensive than 75 cents. E.T., yes, the dreaded E.T., made almost 20 years after the so-called worst game of all time on the Atari 2600. But would you believe, I shit you not, this version is far worse. The control is so bad, all you do is fall, fall, and fall. I can't figure out these controls, it makes me look like an idiot, but I swear, I'm really trying. Imagine playing Excitebike blindfolded, with the controller upside down coated in rubber cement while seated on a wild bull. And just when you start to get the hang of it, the game ends. Waterworld. Gotta include Waterworld whenever you're talking about great Universal classics. This one isn't even a game at all. It's just a virtual recreation of the Waterworld stunt show attraction at Universal Hollywood, which is a great stunt show, far better than the actual movie. So, for those of you who didn't get to see it live, here you can witness the finale when they crash the plane into the water, splashing the front rows to an ecstatic, screaming crowd of nobody. Must be a slow day at Universal. Then there's Backdraft, which is surprisingly the longest of all the games and probably the best, or should I say the least worst. I feel bad for this young kid who has to put out fires without even wearing any protective gear. As always, you have no control over the camera and may not even see a fire until you run smack into it. The fatal flaw that destroys this almost playable game is the confusing controls. Every time you step into another room or the camera angle changes, the joystick becomes reversed, so you have to reorient yourself and figure out the controls again. It's a mess. And if it seems like I breezed through these really quickly, that's because they're over real quickly. There's nothing more to say. That's all, folks. They're mini-games, sub-games, an afterthought to the main game, which is just going around collecting garbage. A metaphor of my life. You'd think they would have made the rides the main part of the game, but instead they focused on the whole mission of trying to get on the rides. Which is very accurate to how the park is in real life. You ever been to Universal? All you do is stand in lines all day, and every once in a while you get on the ride. So this captures that experience perfectly. A virtual simulation of a day at Universal, with long hours of tedium with short bursts of excitement. Except if you're collecting trash the whole time. I should also mention that the main goal of the entire game is to collect stamps. Yeah, apparently there's a big stamp collecting contest going on at Universal, so every time you finish one of the rides, they give you a stamp. So shooting at dinosaurs, flying around a DeLorean, throwing barrels at sharks, all that is just about winning a stamp collecting contest. If I went on a ride at Universal and they gave me a stamp, I'd be like, what the hell is this? I'll tell you, that's one time at Universal when you'd see me throw something in the trash can, or better yet, I used a stamp on an envelope that I'd send a letter to the game developers asking them, how the fuck did you take so many popular franchises and fuck them up so bad? Even LJN, when they fucked up Jaws and Back to the Future, it was one at a time. Not all at once, and that was NES. This is GameCube. I thought by now games this horrible would be extinct. I didn't even know it was possible to make something so rancid. I guess we'll just leave it at, it was a poor excuse of a game, just a shitty exploitation to promote the theme park. But it even fails at that. It's the worst promotion of all time. Have you ever seen the Universal theme park TV commercials? There is a game that is said to be even worse than Big Rigs. It is also a driving game, and it's called Desert Bus. It was so unspeakably dreadful that it was canceled before it was ever released. It was one of 6 games included in Penn and Teller's Smoke and Mirrors for the Sega CD. That's right, Penn and Teller were behind this. And if you haven't heard of them, well, how do I sum it up? Basically, they're 2 of the greatest entertainers of our time. They mix magic and comedy, they perform it live, they defy physics, they're funny as hell, they attack bullshit, and they've been doing it for nearly 40 years.
So their first attempt at a video game in 1995 was a very interesting one and something that only they could have made.
See? You gotta be careful, those thermographics.
Smoke and Mirrors is like the anti-video game. It's made up of 6 mini-games that exist for no other reason than to play jokes on your friends. Explaining them all in detail would be a disservice for anyone wanting to try them out for themselves. Of course, the game was never released, but prior to its cancellation, it appeared in Sega Visions magazine and even made the front cover. The true reason it was cancelled was because the company, Absolute, went out of business. But like anything, the game found its way onto the internet and has been circulated, people have played it, and it's become sort of a cult hit. It's one of the strangest collections of games you might ever play. There's a traditional side-scroller where you actually play as Penn and Teller themselves. It's insanely frustrating to figure out what you're supposed to do, but it's hilarious just for the idea that they made their in-game characters so useless. There's a part where an enemy magician is throwing straitjackets at you, and you have to bounce them back using an umbrella. Trying to hit this guy is just as much of a trick as anything Penn and Teller have pulled off themselves. The straitjackets always bounce in the wrong direction. Oh, come on, that didn't count. Overall, the whole game is worth it just for the abundance of Penn and Teller clips. Watching these guys, you can't go wrong.
Death move, death move, death move, death move, death move, death move. Kill him! Kill him! Kill him!
But then there's Desert Bus. How bad could it be? Let's find out. From Tucson, Arizona to Las Vegas, Nevada. Are we going to Las Vegas to see a Penn and Teller show? I hope. Okay, I'm driving the bus. Come on, bus. Come on, bus. Come on. Okay, slowly but surely, here we go. This is the game. You drive, drive, and drive. There is nothing out there except road and sand. Occasionally there's a rock or a sign, but that's it. There's no passengers to interact with, no music on the radio, nothing to keep you occupied. The road never turns, there's no other vehicles, there is absolutely nothing. You can open the door with the B button. Basically, it makes a sound effect. That's a little something you can do to entertain yourself. The bus can't go any faster than 45 miles per hour. I don't know why. Maybe Dennis Hopper has a bomb on it or something. So there's no hope of speeding up this test of human attention span. So how long is this trip? It's 360 miles to Las Vegas. At 45 miles per hour, that would mean 8 hours. This is a fucking 8-hour game! Whoever needs to take a road trip when you can simulate the whole experience in real time on your Sega CD? What were they thinking? Well, this time we have an answer. Penn and Teller make it clear right before the game starts that the whole joke was to make a game that's just like real life.
Vera simulators. Games stupefyingly like reality.
I've read in various interviews with Penn that this was in response to all the controversies at the time about all the hyper-violent video games. So, instead of something imaginary and fun, here's the real-life mundane task of driving a fucking bus for 8 hours! Well, if we're gonna do this, we're gonna need several bathroom breaks. Let's pause it. What? The start button blows the horn. There's no pause. You just have to keep driving. I wonder how many people have pissed their pants while playing this. You can't even stop to get something to eat.
The manual, and yes, there is a manual, says no, it's not an oversight. Does your life have a pause control? Oh. Oh. I'm driving. What happens at the end when you get to Las Vegas? Imagine if after the 8 hours you get to play casino games and have fun, and all of a sudden the game becomes awesome. Well, I looked into it. You want to know what happens? You get a point. A point. 1 fucking point! And then you gotta drive all the way back! Every 8 hours a point! Those are the slowest points in video game history! Did Penn and Teller really make this game, or did Andy Warhol rise from the dead? Yeah, you know the Andy Warhol film Empire? It's an 8-hour movie that's nothing but a shot of the Empire State Building. Yeah. Who could ever sit through this? Well, there was going to be prizes. Penn and Teller were actually planning to have a desert bus contest. You send in your score, and the grand prize was a trip on an actual bus from Tucson to Las Vegas. But you'll get to see a show and have a 4-night stay at Bally's. That only begs the question, who has the high score in Desert Bus? Well, apparently, the highest you can get is 99, which would mean putting in 792 hours, or 33 days of continuous gameplay. And speaking of long hours, I just found out there's a group who do an annual marathon of the game for charity. It's called Desert Bus for Hope, and it's been very successful in raising money for children. So at least something good has come of this game. They must be some serious troopers. I can't sit through 10 minutes of this shit! I've heard that every once in a while, a bug will splat on your windshield. I'd be happy just to see that. I'm suffering from so much sensory deprivation that anything to break up the monotony would be amazing. If a bug came and splat on this windshield, that would blow my fucking mind. But I'll never have the patience to get that far. I'll never even get a single point. Just gotta hold your thumb on this button for so long. Wait. Oh! How do you like that trick, Penn and Teller? If you can't beat the game, let the game beat itself. What? The fuck? It's stuck. The bus is stuck in the sand. They made the bus veer to the right on purpose. Oh, they thought of everything. God damn you, Penn and Teller. You have to sit here and drive the bus, just like in real life. And real life fucking sucks. Now I'm getting towed. Oh boy. The towing is in real time also. So if you've driven 7 hours, does it take 7 hours for the game to start over? This is the most sadistic thing ever. There's no fun factor whatsoever. This makes Big Rigs look like a fucking party. Big Rigs isn't even a game and has no challenge whatsoever, but here the challenge comes from trying to stay awake from boredom. For the past 10 years, I've been on a mission to warn the world of shitty games. And in all those years, this one takes the cake. I think I've finally hit the bottom of the barrel. The fact that a game like this could come into existence and that people have played it and suffered through it and even adapted it into an Atari 2600 game means that I've failed. I've done everything I can. It's time to retire. Are you ready for some action? Some Action 52? I suppose so, because I get requests for this game all the time, like this one right here. Action 52. Fuck this game, please do a review of it. You asshole. Thanks. Wow, I guess I gotta do it now. Let's start with the cartridge. It's the freak misfit of the NES library. Games came in gray, black, blue, silver, gold, but clear?
You can tell just by looking at it, this is a game that's so bad, it has nothing to hide. Another thing, if you play it for more than an hour, not that you'd want to, it gets really hot and smells like burning plastic. It's not because of the toaster. The same thing happens if you play it in the top loader. Not only is this game crap, but it's crap that comes with a price. $199. That's a lot of money, but there's 52 games. So let me calculate this. $199 divided by 52 equals, well, you gotta pay tax too, so let's just say $4 a game. Wow, what a deal! 52 action-packed games bundled into one cartridge, all for an efficient price. It was every kid's dream. More games! More games! Yeah! Lights, camera, Action 52. Oh! Now, where did they get the music? Okay, the significance? It Takes Two, Action 52?
Make your selection now.
Well, let's get this thing started. We're going to have ourselves a little marathon here and determine if the $199 was worth it. Game number 1, Fire Breather. Okay, well, it's pretty self-explanatory. And would you know this is the only game on the entire cartridge that's 2 players only? Gee, which game should we start with? Well, how about the only game you can't play alone? Well, that's $4 wasted already. Number 2, Star Evil. Who's gonna dodge that? Nobody! Not the first time. You'd have to know, oh, this is gonna be a vertical 2D shooter and there's gonna be an obstacle immediately at the start of the game. That's one way to get you on your toes. Other than that, it's real easy. As long as you keep firing, none of the enemies come anywhere near you. I guess that makes sense. If I was an intergalactic vacuum cleaner getting shot at, I'd be like, oh fucking hell, there's a menorah shooting Q-tips, get out of the way. Not even the first level boss wants to be involved. Sometimes it doesn't show up at all, and you're stuck in a dead end. What happened? Did the game give up? Ugh, that's another $4. Next, number 3, Illuminator. You're not even allowed to see in this game? Real fun idea. For a room that has about 1,000 light bulbs, it sure goes dark a lot. And they're just decoration. Thought you could light a room with a light? No, you gotta kill vampires. But after you've killed one, you only get 1 second before the room goes dark again. Who wants to play a game that's pitch black? It's so black I could see my reflection in the screen. The question is, how much more black could this be? And the answer is none. And no, you can't go any higher. This is it. Great fucking game. Number 4, G-Force... What? Or just G-Force. It's another 2D shooter. You know what? This would be okay for Atari 2600. The only 2 controls are move and shoot. This game was made in 1991, the same year Super NES came out. Not to mention, if you want to play a good 2D side-scroller game on the NES, try fucking Life Force. And what is this anyway? An inside-out dolphin shooting at roadkill toads? I don't know, I'm just using my imagination. That's all you have when you play this miserable pile of goat shit. Number 5, Ooze. Oh, wow, a title screen? Really? Oh my god, it's... Shippickle, 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 shippickle. Oh, righty then, okay. Well, this is the first game that uses the B button for jumping. Any gamer who grew up with Super Mario Bros. Expects A to jump, but that's the least of her worries. To jump over a hole, you have to tap the B button and then press over. If you're holding the B button like you normally would, it locks you vertically until you let go. It's an anomaly of game programming. You know what's really weird? Whenever you restart the menu, it always starts at Ooze. Is that the programmer's personal recommendation? Well, so far, every one of these games is a bomb. But out of 52, I'm sure that eventually we'll find one that's decent. I hope. Number 6, Silver Sword. Well, green, green, and more green. What is this? A cabbage patch on a golf course? Infested with killer scrotums? This is a disgrace to the NES, the same platform that brought us games like Legend of Zelda, Silver Sword. The sword isn't even silver. Maybe it's corroded. Number 7, Critical BP, or Critical Bypass. Oh, now it's spelled with a Y? Oh, that's dreadful. It's like an optical illusion. Well, that's pretty bad when the game causes eye strain and you can't even fucking look at it. What is this anyway? A pogo ball and a Segway shooting at birthday presents? Ugh, Critical Bypass. It's critical that you bypass this game. Number 8, Jupiter Scope. Nice, another space shooter. This time you're a dead whale shooting at flaming condoms. That's what it looks like. The screen never moves. It's like Space Invaders, except without many invaders. Half the time, you're just sitting around waiting. Come on, give me something to shoot at. Losing at this game is impossible. Just hold down the fire button and move back and forth. Okay, what's next? Number 9, Alfredo, or Alfred and the Fedek. Yeah, Fedek. You never heard of Fedek? What happened? Where's the fucking game? Well, there's no game here. What happened? Did the programmers pass out, or did they just figure nobody would check all 52 games? Well, that's $4 wasted. But I guess I can't say I'm really too excited over playing a game called Alfredo, also known as Alfred and the Fedek. Number 10, Operation Full Moon. Now, that's puke green if I ever saw it. The nauseating hue combined with the texture of vomit makes me think that this game ate Silver Sword and barfed it out. Number 11, Dam Busters. Those damn busters. Well, it should have been called Alien Beaver Tomato Fight. That's all it is. You're a beaver shooting tomatoes and navigating through a maze. Oops, dead end. What the shit? You can't go back? I'm trapped? You're shitting me. This game is shitting me. Number 12, Thrusters. Another space shooter. Well, it's the same game as before, just different graphics. Where do they come up with these objects? I'm running out of imagination here. I can't decipher anything. Especially when the game starts having a fucking seizure. Number 13, Haunted Hill. Wow, a human being. I can't believe it actually looks like something. Man, her boobs are bigger than her head. It's a shitty side-scroller with the same bad controls as Ooze. Sadly, it's the best game so far. Out of the way, you fucking ghosts. Here comes Mrs. Tits, jumping like she's on the moon. Die, you onion-faced balloon floating, thing. I died by touching the air? Number 14, Chill Out. I wish I could chill out. This is horrendous. This one's basically an Eskimo snowball massacre. Climb down shits and ladders and throw snowballs. What's this? I died in midair? That seems to be a theme we're running into here. This game doesn't even care it sucks. Gee, how much money did we waste so far? Like $56, I think? That's already exceeded the average price of a Nintendo game. Number 15, Sharks. Yeah, sharks. Sometimes sharks. Most of the time not. Well, you're stuck on this one screen, but you sure have full reign. You can swim through the ocean floor. And that's all it is, just hope for sharks to come and shoot them. Number 16, Megalonia. Another space shooter? Flying through McDonald's arches? No thanks. Number 17, French Baker. Oh man, you're a chef and the kitchen is really getting out of hand. Everything's trying to kill you. Hoagies, envelopes, and dog nuts. And what do? Hit them with your rolling pin. And don't drop down, you'll disintegrate. That's always nice. Number 18, Atmosquake. Oh, another space shooter? I pass. I'm only up to number 19? Jeez. fuck. Number 19, Myung. What the fuck? Okay, get this. You move from square to square, hoping that the next square won't make you explode. So it's like a memory game that can only be done with trial and error. Good lord. Number 20, Space Dreams. Oh my, what's this gonna be? Why, of course, another space shooter. This time, you're a pacifier shooting at weird dolls, rabbits, and safety pins. Safety pins as enemies in a video game. Where do they come up with this stuff? Gee, what kind of enemy could I have for this game? I have 32 games left I have to program, so I have to hurry up. Ah, safety pin! That'll be perfect. Next game. Number 21, Streamers. You're a clown climbing up platforms like Spider-Man. Ooh, a rabbit in a hat. What does that do? Nothing at all. A bag of money? How about that? It turns into a green, frowning face? Is that supposed to teach you a lesson that taking money is greedy? No, I think I'm reading way too deep into it. Oh, then the game crashes. Good. Number 22, Spreadfire. What is this? They should have called this Shooter Games 52. This time, you're a lobster. You don't go anywhere, and half the time, there's nothing to shoot at. These kind of games must have been the easiest to design. Make a black background, covered in dots, and call it space. You know what? It's getting old. Number 23, Bubblegum Rosie, or Bubblegum Rossi. Yay! I've always wanted to play a game where I'm a little girl shooting bubbles. Wait a minute, you can't even kill people? Well, what do you expect? They're bubbles. You can jump on the enemies. Or wait, can you? And falling in spikes doesn't hurt you. This game has no rules. Number 24, Micro Mike. Wow, look out, Micro Mike, you're going too fast. Even if you have the quickest reflexes, you'll never be able to avoid the walls or other random objects that stand in your way. If only Micro Mike would slow the fuck down. Number 25, Underground. Well, at least it looks like Underground. Wait a minute, this guy can fall down 50 feet and survive, but if he touches the mushrooms, he spins around like a bowling pin and dies? And what am I supposed to do here? What do I do? Wow, 25 shitty games, and still going. This is an endurance, man. I've never played such a huge compilation of crap in my life. Was the whole idea to make so many shitty games that there'd be no more shitty games left to make? Out of all these, there's gotta be at least one that's tolerable. Number 26, Rocket Jock, or Rocket Jockey. You're a cowboy on a rocket with a lasso. If you actually used the lasso, that would be kinda cool, but I guess they figured they didn't have enough games that shoot. Yeah, kill those cows. Turn them into a bowl of cereal with a puppy dog. Number 27, Non-Human. Well, isn't that an appropriate title? Everything about these games are non-human, except for that very human-like face. Or are they aliens? What are these for? Other than the faces just being the area where you die, which takes up half the screen. You know you're playing a great game when you can't even jump over a hole. You can try all day, but you'll always fall down into the purple dimension of green faces. Number 28, Crybaby. By now you'd be crying, so it's like the game is mocking you. Okay, what's wrong with this picture? Baby, adult, baby, adult? Then what about him, huh? What the hell's going on here? Why does the floor look like ice cube trays? What are you attacking with? Why do you die when you fall off the furniture? Why? What? Why? Number 29, Slashers. Slashers? I thought it'd be like a horror game. Instead, it's a poor man's version of Double Dragon. Saying that is being extremely generous. It makes bad dudes look like a masterpiece. At least the backgrounds change. What are these, beer steins? You're not even allowed to walk past anybody.
When an enemy appears, you stop dead in your tracks and can't move until you have a punching match to the death. There's zero strategy, you just mash buttons. And what are these, hookers? I guess this guy doesn't understand the concept of a hooker. You're supposed to fuck her, not fuck her up. Die, boob lady! Number 30, Crazy Shuffle. Could the characters be any smaller? You're a tiny, indescribable object shooting tiny dots at other tiny objects. Sounds like fun? Well, guess what? It isn't. Number 31, Fuzz Power. Well, fuzz is right. You're some guy with a big nose, big feet, and lots of fuzz. You roll around fighting blow dryers and hair combs. What's that, popcorn? Oh no, I'm getting hit. I'm losing my fuzz. Now I'm naked. Yeah. Whoever came up with this is an asshole. Whoever came up with this is an asshole. Ass. Hole? Asshole. Television makes a lot of sense. Number 32, Shooting Gallery. The easiest shooting game ever. The targets never disappear until you hit them, there's no time limit, you never run out of ammo, and you can't die. Which means the game will never end. Fortunately, you can go back to the menu by pausing the game and hitting select. Ugh, except for this game. The one fucking game that doesn't end crashes when you try to quit. Reset. Number 33, Lollipop. Are you kidding me? Why not a sword or a machine gun? Who wants a fucking lollipop? How do you climb up a ladder? Want to take a guess? Pushing up on the D-pad? No, you jump. Who the hell jumps up a ladder? And you know what? The controls in all these games are so bad, I've forgotten that B is jump and A is attack. I've been playing for so long, I've sort of adapted to its crap factor. I swear, next time I play a regular platformer, I'm gonna try jumping with B. Number 34, Evil Empire. Oh, game sprites so small you need a magnifying glass? That seems to be a theme here too. Look at that! There's some crazy shit going on over there. I want to join the party. Oops, dying in midair. I can understand dying because you're jumping from too high, but can't they at least make you die when you hit the ground? Number 35, Sombreros. Well, I guess you're wearing a sombrero, shooting at vacuum cleaners on the street. Not much to say. I've lost all hope. 52 games, they all probably suck. I could think of some pretty bad games, like Little Red Hood. That's a horrible game, but at least it's one horrible game, not 52. You know what's more fun than playing Action 52? 52 card pickup. You know how you play that? Pick up the cards. Number 36, Storm Over the Desert. Ooh, another title screen. So you're an army tank shooting at other army tanks, which happen to be pink. Also, there's no way to die. Anything you touch will explode. Those pink tanks are fucking pussies. What the hell? A giant Saddam Hussein? How'd they fuck up the scale this bad? The soldiers aren't giant, so why Saddam? Now I'm getting tired of this. Can someone at least try to kill me? Hey you, get over here. Pause and select. Get me out of here. Well, at least we're in the home stretch, the third and final menu screen. Another thing that gets incredibly annoying, whenever you die or reset, you have to go back to the first menu every single time. So it's hard to keep track where you left off. Number 37, Mash Man. Well, Mash Man looks like Fuzz Power with clothes on, jumping on eyeballs in front of Legoland. Ugh, next game. Number 38, They Came. They came from where? From space? No, that can't be. Oh, next. Number 39, Laser League. Well, I'm glad they spelled laser with a Z because that's how you say it. You don't say laser. By the way, horizontal 2D space shooter. Next. Number 40, Billy Bob. This is different. It's like Indiana Jones, except it's Billy Bob. I'm kind of stunned that this game has some fluent animation here. Of course, I should have learned. In Action 52, you cannot jump down. You will hit the air so hard you will die. You can't jump to the ledge either. That doesn't work, and if you stand there too long, you die. So how do you get over? I don't know. Second screen of the game, and it's a dead end. Number 41, City of Doom. You're climbing the tallest building in the world while the tenants throw bowling balls at you. That's it. It goes on and on and on. How tall is this building? It must lead into outer space. Oh no, please, please not space. Number 42, Bits and Pieces. Ooh, a monster game. You're a guy in a cemetery jumping over monsters. That's it. You jump and jump and jump. You know what would be nice? An attack? Or how about a health bar? How about anything like a normal fucking game? What were they thinking? Number 43, Beeps and Blips. You're a shape shooting at other shapes. What are these? Reject sprites from other video games thrown together? Number 44, Manchester. A guy jumping on music boxes, punching in the air. I don't get it. Number 45, Boss. Who would think boss means a frog running around with a gun getting ambushed by falling bombs? That's what they should have called it, bombs. There's no way to avoid them. If you go too early, the bomb gets you. If you go too late, the next one gets you. Number 46, Dead Ant. You're an ant trying to make other ants dead ants, like the Pink Panther. Dead ant, dead ant, dead ant, dead ant, dead ant, dead ant. But if the ants make it to the bottom of the screen, you're fucked, because you can only move left and right. What makes this ant different from the rest? Oh, it's pink. And anything pink in this game sucks. Number 47, Hambo. A pig version of Rambo? No, that would have been too clever. It's just a guy jumping over 8 balls and shit. Or trying to jump over. This is fucking horseshit. How did they fuck up the jumping control so bad? Have the programmers ever played another video game? Moving on. Number 48, Time Warp Tickers. You're a pair of fingers in checkerboard land with upside down doors. What kind of drugs were they on? Was this game even made by a human being? Time? When you kill things, it says time? What does that mean? Time to play another fucking game? Number 49, Jigsaw. It crashed. Oh, thank God. Next game. Number 50, Ninja Assault. Another beat 'em up, if you even call it that. No strategy, just mash buttons. Number 51, Robbie the Robot. More like Robbie the sunglass-wearing Bart Simpson look-alike in a blue dress. Guess how this game works. You move to the right and shoot. That's all. Nothing can stop you. You could literally play this game with your eyes closed. Until the second level, when there's holes. Now you're screwed. I can't believe they sold this shit fest for $199. That's about how much it costs for a video game console. Pretty much. You could take $199, stand on a bridge, and just throw it all away. You'd rather do anything than spend it on a broken down, dysfunctional disaster of video game programming. With games that crash, hideous jumping control, random characters, microscopic sprites, a marathon of mediocre space shooters, dying in midair, problems with proportion, misleading titles, misleading power-ups, embarrassing weapons, seizure-inducing backgrounds, lack of enemies, games you can't win, games you can't lose, games that make no sense whatsoever, shitty graphics, shitty music, shitty menus, and a fuck ton of other things. It should have been illegal for them to sell this rotten shitload of putrid fuck for any price. I feel humiliated to live on the same planet as someone who designed an electronic abomination of this magnitude. Couldn't they have tried making one good game as opposed to 52 horrible games? Quality over quantity. That's our lesson here. Well, there's one game left, so it has one last chance to redeem itself. Could this be the one that all the effort went into? Could there be a cherry on top this shit sundae? We can only hope. I have a lot of NES games. Look at all these fucking games. So many choices. Which one should I play? Well, here's a question. Which one's different from the rest? Huh? Which one juts out like a fucking piece of shit? This one. And look, what's that? Why, it's another game hiding behind it. It sure is a unique specimen. If it had only been for this, I'd say it's pretty strange, but the way it protrudes out, too, definitely makes it the most oddly shaped of the whole collection. Being that this is one of those unlicensed hack fucks, it won't play in a classic Nintendo, unless you stick another game on it. So that's what it's for. But all the other unlicensed games didn't have to do that, so why this one? It's just like Super Noah's Ark 3D, the only Super Nintendo game where you had to do that. If you play it on the top loader, then it works just like a regular game. It does look lonely and stupid, so I guess you could stack shit on top if you want.
You know what? I noticed something really weird. These are the only two games I know of that have that weird thing where you gotta stick the game on the top, but they also both involve animals, slingshots, and fruit. I wonder if there's a connection. Probably not.
Anyway, what do you expect of a game based off of Little Red Riding Hood? You're familiar with the story, right? It goes something like this. Once upon a time, there was a girl named Little Red Riding Hood. She liked to jump in the air and whistle out her vagina. She kicked at trees until Big Bird's ballsack would appear.
What? That's not the story? Oh, well, excuse me, because this isn't Little Red Riding Hood. This is Little Red Hood. Yeah! Not to be confused. I don't know, really. The real reason why it's called Little Red Hood instead of Little Red Riding Hood is because I have no fucking idea.
So this is the game. You just look at it and it sucks. It doesn't come as a surprise. It's not like there's any expectations to meet. It's not Spider-Man or Batman or something cool. It's a fucking fairy tale. So it doesn't even need to try to be bad. Well, just hold that thought, because pretty soon you're going to see how it goes way beyond your wildest nightmares. The first thing you try to figure out is how to attack. The B button makes her kick, but it doesn't do a damn thing. It's like the stick in Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Why do they give you an attack that doesn't do shit? On the cover of the fucking game it shows her kicking an enemy. Why can't you do it in the game? Why they have to fucking lie? The only thing the kick can be used for is kicking palm trees to make cherries appear. But please, God, tell me one thing. Why are there cherries coming out of a fucking palm tree? So that's it for the kick. So let's try the A button, which makes you jump. Can you use this as an attack? Nope. Well, that pretty much cancels it all out. But there's guys running all over the place trying to kill you. There's gotta be some way to attack, right? Well, sometimes when you pick up a rock, you might uncover a white dog, and if you're lucky, the dog will eat the bad guys. So that's basically your attack. Mario jumps on people, Link uses a sword, Little Red Hood uses a dog that she finds under a rock. I can't believe I'm explaining this. It's not even like you control the dog, it just wanders around. So you just have to hope that the dog and the bad guys accidentally walk into one another. Let's check out the store. The store always sells the same 3 items, even when there's 2 stores right next to each other. What's the point of that? It's like fucking Starbucks at every street corner. The first item is a potion that makes you invincible. It only works for a few seconds, so it's not worth the investment. The second item is a heart that regains your health. But tell me, why is your health indicated by those traditional fake Valentine-looking hearts when the heart you buy in the store is like a real human heart? Not to mention, you can find candy, which gives you some health back too. Not as much as the heart you buy in the store, but why would you pay for it when you can basically find the same thing for free? The third item is a slingshot. Now that's more what we're talking about. Now you'd expect her to use the slingshot to shoot rocks or something, right? But no, she throws the fucking thing.
Yeah, check this out. Look, I'm gonna hit you with this slingshot. I suppose if the game programmers put a gun in the game, you'd be throwing that as well. Does that make any sense? No.
It doesn't matter anyway, because after you've thrown only a few slingshots, it's gone. 1,000 gold pieces down the shitter. Even when you do kill anybody, they come back right away. Respawning enemies are common in games, but here, they don't even give you a second. The instant they die, they come back, almost as if nothing happened. So there's no purpose trying to kill anybody. All you can do is run, 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 like a little red pussy. Once you've gotten over that fact, you start wondering, what's the goal? How do you get to the next level? Well, this is where the real havoc begins. To begin with, the stage is small enough to span 2 TV screens. Occasionally a staircase will appear. You go down the staircase and you find a room. Here you can get some gold and some candy, but other than that, it's a dead end. The staircase continues to appear, but in no such way that you can predict. I'm not sure if it goes off on a timer or whatever, but basically this staircase appears whenever it wants. It's never in the same place, but it always leads to the same room. You try kicking trees, but all you get are cherries, which don't seem to do anything. You try kicking rocks, and all you get are enemies or other items, no exit, and no clue whatsoever. Sometimes you get a balloon, but that only takes you to a bonus stage. 1 piece of gold always flashes, but I don't understand why, and I'm pretty sure it's just a glitch of some kind. You try all the boundaries, thinking that somewhere there's a spot where you can walk into the next part of the game, but it doesn't happen. All the trees, even that one little spot that looks like a fence, and even the areas that seem wide open are all just the same. A fucking barricade that might as well be a brick wall.
Like, what a mystery, right? Well, this is when anybody would just shut off the game. But do you really want to know how to play it? One more of these and I'll tell you.
You need to get a key. Now, where could this key be hidden? Why, of course, it appears randomly inside one of the staircases, which also appear randomly. If you've been in that room once already, you just assume there's nothing there. So now that you have the key, what do you do with it? You're thinking there's got to be a locked door or something like that, right? But no, you're supposed to wait for another staircase to appear, and that's the exit. That doesn't make any sense. How would a key unlock an open staircase that doesn't even have a door in front of it? At least if they put a keyhole on it, it would be more logical, but it would also let you know that you're supposed to use the key there. Oh, and I didn't even tell you how to make the staircase appear. That's where the cherries come in. You just go around kicking random trees, getting cherries, and when you've gotten enough of them, I think 12, the stairway appears. How would anybody guess that's what the cherries are for? There isn't even a counter to keep track of how many cherries you've collected. Come to think of it, there's nothing telling you how many lives you have either. You get no information. I've tried hitting start, select, there's no status screen, and unless you have an instruction manual, you'll never figure this out.
But now we know, so let's continue with the game. But first, let's recap and make sure we got this straight, okay? Alright. You wait for randomly flashing staircases to appear, in which you try to find a randomly appearing key, which randomly appears within the randomly appearing staircases, and then try to collect a random number of cherries that randomly appear as you kick palm trees to reveal another staircase that doesn't flash, or more or less appears to be flashing, but in a frozen state. You go in there, and then you're off to the next level. You got that? Well, good, because now all you got to do is do that 9 more times, and congratulations, you've learned the secret of playing Little Red Hood. The only thing you might be wondering now is what on earth does this have to do with the story of Little Red Riding Hood? Well, I'll tell you. Absolutely fucking nothing.
So now that you know how to play, you just gotta go through the same routine over and over. Because of the random nature of this game, each stage could take anywhere from 5 minutes to a half hour. It all depends when the stairways appear, when the key appears, and so on. It starts to wear on your mind very quickly. Every level looks alike. The colors are changed, the trees and the fruit are different, but overall the design is basically the same thing. But it goes beyond just being bland. They somehow managed to choose the most repulsive color schemes and patterns. Don't you wish there could have been a more appealing texture and hue rather than this diarrhea-ish brown? Look at the bear. Did they purposely try to make it match the background? They really couldn't help but use the same putrid color twice? The music never changes. Every level is the same frothy sound of crackling ass. Even something as simple as walking can't go without glitchy side effects. Like Metal Gear, you can't pass through narrow spots. I mean, if you can't walk through, why make it look like you can? Oh, never mind. I guess if you fidget around enough, it works. You can't jump when you're below a tree, as if your head is somehow hitting the trunk. Technically, this would mean the character is not jumping straight up into the air, but rather sideways, as if Little Red Hood exists in a two-dimensional space while jumping sideways into a three-dimensional tree. If you're walking above the trees, you can't walk behind the leaves. It's as if this vague space the tree occupies is a blockade. The items always appear at random, even in areas where you can't get to them, like inside a tree. Sometimes two items can appear in the same place. And sometimes an item can just randomly disappear. Everything about this game is a broken down mess.
It's just so random. You know, how many times have I used the word random and appear? But that's exactly what's happening. Stuff appears or doesn't appear or randomly does something else. I feel like a guinea pig in an experiment where they're testing the effects of negative reinforcement. Let's see what happens if we take the key away. It's 20 years late, but whoever you are, and if you want to know what the effect is, I'll tell you the effect. It's fucking pissing me off!
Nothing is consistent about this twisted piece of shit covered anal fuck. In this stage, the key is out in the open, guarded by a panda, I guess. Are any of the animals in this game supposed to be the big bad wolf? Anyway, the panda is the only enemy that kills you with one hit. Doesn't matter if you have full health, you touch the panda and you're dead. The only way you can get past it is if you get hit by something else and then pass through. Thank God for that after hit invincibility. Then there's this spot where you have to jump on turtles to get across a waterfall. And this is not the kind of game that has good jumping control. Fuck. Oh, fuck! Fuck! Level 5 is a C level. All you have to do is get 2 pearls. I guess they decide to change it up a bit. It's the easiest level in existence and has no purpose. Too bad there weren't any other levels like this so we can breeze through this fuckwad. But the most fucked up level of all is level 8. Here, the key never appears. Just never. It never appears. I played this stage for about an hour before I eventually looked up an online walkthrough from someone who probably had more time to spare than me. And guess what? In this stage, the key doesn't appear until you buy an invincibility potion and 3 slingshots!
How would anybody know to do that? You go through the whole game, all of a sudden they throw you a curveball and change the fucking rules. Imagine if in Super Mario Brothers, if one level, you can't jump on the flagpole at the end. Unless first you collect exactly 29 coins, stomp 3 Goombas, and get a fire flower. You want to know how I feel now? I'm fucking enraged. You don't just change the rules like that. This is shit sauce. This is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde standards. And I'm still playing it. I don't even know why. I guess I can't resist being able to say I beat Little Red Hood. And you know what? I don't expect a good ending either. Why work hard on creating an elaborate ending when you've made the game so hard to figure out that there's not a chance in hell anyone would get that far? In fact, I expect a shitty ending. A fucking loathsome, ass-sucking shit heap of an ending.
Oh, my dear Little Red Hood. Thank you for your coming.
You did not disappoint.
When you think back to the early days of the NES, one title that can't be forgotten is Paperboy. It was one of the first NES games to come from an American company, Atari, who first introduced it as an arcade in 1985. And then it was ported onto more consoles and home computers to count. Commodore 64, Apple II, Amiga, Sega Master System, Game Boy, Game Gear, Genesis, everything you could possibly think of. There was even a Tiger handheld version. Also, a sequel and an N64 version in 3D style. It really caught on. It's considered first rank, definitive in its field, of enduring interest, the highest nostalgic value. It connected with the public, it's universally renowned, one of the all-time classic video games. And it's all about delivering newspapers. It's as basic as it gets. You're a paperboy riding a bike with one goal: deliver newspapers to the subscribers. For those who remember it, there's nothing more to explain. But for the younger gamers today, you're probably scratching your heads. Maybe not, but if so, I'll clear it up, okay? A newspaper is a publication issued at regular intervals, usually daily or weekly, and contains news, politics, sports, business, finance, advertisements, comics, etc. And they were printed on paper. It was fucking crazy! Yes, newspapers still exist, and even Nintendo still makes games, but that's debatable. Anyway, if you know newspapers and old video games, let's continue. There's 7 stages, or should I say 7 days. At the start of each day, you're shown a street map indicating which houses are subscribers and which ones aren't. Then you're on your way to start delivering papers. Thankfully, you do not have to remember the street map. The subscribers' homes are very easy to recognize. Not by the mailbox, that would make too much sense. The entire houses are labeled by color. The white houses are subscribers, the red houses are non-subscribers. Wow. Can you imagine painting your house based on your newspaper subscription? Next time you and your spouse are going over the bills and they're on your case about canceling your subscription to that damn paper, you'll first have to consider if you really want to go through the effort of painting your house again. The idea is to throw the newspapers, hoping they land on the doormat or into the mailbox for more points. Yeah, points. It was an arcade game, what do you expect? For every house you miss, the next day they become non-subscribers. But you can also lose subscribers by smashing their windows. Apparently there's a brick inside these newspapers. Yeah, all full of bricks. Now I feel really bad for this Paperboy for carrying such a heavy load. But seriously, can you break a window with a newspaper? Can't say I ever tried it. Okay, so it's possible. Even if you get one in the mailbox, but you break a window, they unsubscribe. Assholes. They got their paper. I still delivered it, didn't I? Dude, if I was a kid and Nintendo Power came crashing through my window, I'd say, fuck yeah! I've been playing this game for almost 30 years, and aiming the newspapers has always been a problem. The game is tilted in an awkward isometric angle, which was ambitious for its time, but annoying as hell. When you throw a paper, you have to time it perfectly, and even after the paper is airborne, it changes its trajectory based on the movement of your bike. You just have to throw it and hope by some miracle it hits the mark. It's sort of like a game kids used to play in the 60s where they would shit in 2 separate toilets and flush them simultaneously hoping their turds would meet. Actually, I just made that up. It wouldn't be as hard if you weren't so busy moving around avoiding hazards. I'm never able to split my attention to the mailbox and the road at the same time. I'm either going to break a window or fall on my ass and kill myself. Not to mention, only 3 hits and the game's over. Damn, I was so close. Again? Jesus, fuck. Ugh. And you know what pisses me off the most? Is that nobody else seems to think this is that hard. But for me, aiming the newspaper into the mailbox is like trying to slingshot a dingleberry from a playground roundabout that's situated on a moving parade float, aiming into a bottle cap that's tied by a string to a Himalayan snowcock. While drunk. It would take somebody from NASA who knows how to calculate exactly when a certain asteroid is going to pass by a certain planet when it's lined up with a certain constellation during a certain moon phase. Meanwhile, I'm still trying to calculate my cat's shit comets it spreads across the carpet after wiping its ass on it before its anal glands have been evacuated. But hang on, what are we talking about here? What's at stake? Getting a newspaper to land on a doormat or, God forbid, into a mailbox? When would that ever happen? All the times I've witnessed newspapers being delivered, it's more like this. There. Have you ever seen anybody launch one into a mailbox? No! Nobody tries that! If you did, you'd be a town hero! You'd get your dick sucked! Cats would bow at your feet! Even the neighborhood pit bull would spread out on the ground to bask in your glory! They just drop them near the curb, maybe in the driveway where you'll run over in the car on your way to work and it'll get soaked by rain before you even realize it's there until the water and paper consistency turns it into a soppy, inky mush and then it dries in the sun looking like some kind of kindergarten paper mache fuck-up. Nowadays, newspapers are usually delivered by cars. I mean, by people in cars, but I guess newspaper adult car driving deliverer wouldn't have made such a great game. But neither did this! You want to deliver something? Deliver us from the torment of this horrible game! How hard would it actually be to throw a newspaper into a mailbox? Only one way to find out. what I thought. It's more fun to break the windows anyway, so fuck it.
Extra, extra! Paperboy goes mad! Here's some assifieds! Here you go, daily douchebag! 10% off your next purchase of fuck you! Cloudy with a chance of ass kicking! Dear Abby, make him eat shit! Crosswords, can you spell cunt? Horoscopes, you will achieve greatness! In hell!
But here's the real kicker. You know how to turn a non-subscriber into a subscriber? You know what you do? Break their windows. Is that in your job duty? Is that the protocol? Your boss tells you, look, if they don't subscribe, send them a paper anyway, through their window. I'd like to know more about this boss. Who is this person who has such extreme solutions to things? This is the type of person who takes out a housefly with a grenade, and every time their car runs out of gas, buys a new car. You're breaking people's windows. They have to get new glass, fast. It's cold at night. There's bugs getting in. Please, we'll subscribe to your paper. Just stop breaking our windows. Another weird thing about this game is trying to pause it. I don't even know how to explain it, but if you press the start button too quickly, it doesn't stay paused. It only lasts for a fraction of a second, like if you blinked, you missed it. You have to be very deliberate with how you press it. I've never seen this phenomenon in any other NES game. Now let's talk about the in-game oddities that you'll witness. Take this home, for example. Impeccable and spacious, with 4 beds, 2 baths, 2,500 square feet, new kitchen, stainless steel appliances, granite counters, hardwood floors, central air, heat, professionally landscaped front yard, and 2 gravestones. And plenty open lots for the rest of your family. Why are there gravestones in the front yard? And how do you knock them over with your newspapers? These are some powerful papers. Maybe the gravestones are just styrofoam Halloween decorations, and they're the only home that celebrates it. We're only getting started. Who's this crazy woman, this enraged beast that comes flying at you? She's a subscriber too. You don't even have to break a window to trigger her. In fact, I landed a paper right on her doormat and she still wants me dead. What's her deal? Maybe she read too much Marmaduke and Family Circus. How do you make the same comic strip every day? There's no way it can all be good. And this guy here, can you take that inside? Really? Do you have to do that on the sidewalk? You fucking pervert. Then there's a tire that randomly comes rolling out from behind the house. Who's back there rolling tires? Get a life. How about the lawnmower, the remote control cars, the breakdancer? Yeah, he's breakdancing all by himself on the sidewalk. Is it a challenge? Did I get served? What's this? A tornado? Or the Tasmanian fucking devil? If there's a tornado coming through town, I think the residents have bigger issues than not getting their papers. Can't I take the day off if there's a fucking tornado warning? Maybe it's Simon Belmont. You didn't know that. After he used the tornado, he had to pass through Paperboy before he reached the other side. How about the lawn ornament? It's the famous lawn jockey statue, an old tradition seen in Home Alone, for example. This may be common, but it's not common to see them come alive. This should be making headlines. I should be delivering extra, extra, lawn ornament attacks Paperboy, instead of Paperboy calls it quits. That's not newsworthy. Then there's the dog. That's the only thing that makes sense. The only hazard a Paperboy might actually encounter. But man, does this dog run far. Somebody needs to get a fence. And, the Grim Reaper is in town. That's a problem. Here, read the obituaries, you piece of shit. You would think maybe the instruction manual has some backstories to these characters. Maybe there's a reason why all this is happening. But no, it lists the obstacles, and that's it. Even Jekyll and Hyde had a detailed character list with illustrations and stories. This manual tells you the absolute minimum, only what you need to know to play the game. No illustrations, except for the controller. It's one of the most boring NES manuals I've ever seen, and if I can say anything at all about Jekyll and Hyde being better, then you know you have problems. Speaking of Jekyll and Hyde, there's something about this that reminds me of it. It's an ordinary town full of things that wouldn't normally be dangerous. It's made to look innocent, but it's all a trick. Listen to the music. It's peaceful and mellow. It makes you feel like there's nothing too urgent going on.
Like you're the one who's fucking up. It annoys me to the very core of my soul. Ever since I've played this game as a kid, I've had a personal vendetta against it. Did I just hit a bright green Model T that's parked? Could I be humiliated anymore? And I respawn right behind it? Are you kidding me? What would happen if an actual Paperboy fell off his bike? Nobody gets their papers? You can't ride over the curb. If you're in the street, you're stuck there until there's a driveway. That's your only window of opportunity to get back onto the sidewalk. But there's always something in your way that forces you back down, so you're always trapped in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. Come to think of it, the game hardly uses much of the screen at all. Half the space is taken up by the houses. You'll never go to the left very much. So that area of the screen is completely wasted. It's like Back to the Future. You're moving through a town, you can't do anything to stop yourself from moving, and every common thing is out to kill you. But imagine if you were playing Back to the Future crammed into the corner of the screen, and if you make it onto the sidewalk, now you're playing Silver Surfer. Ask any newspaper delivery person, hey, what's your job like? I doubt they'd say, it's like Silver Surfer stretched over a sidewalk. As for the houses, that's any NES game before it's been cleaned. It's nothing. Fuck! Diddly dick! This is impossible. With only 3 lives? Maybe there's a secret method. I wish there was a strategy guide. Oh, what the hell? Wow. The official Paperboy strategy guide. Whenever you make it to the end of the street, you're treated to an obstacle course finale. Why would you pass through an obstacle course after delivering papers? Does it just happen to be on the way? Or was this the ultimate goal all along? I'd say this kid deserves a little fun. I mean, he has a pretty dangerous job. And remember, he still has to go to school afterwards. He even gets some fanfare. That's right, there's been people sitting there the whole time waiting for him. What's up with the guy on the right? Looks like his head is missing. The obstacles have no rhyme or reason. Cones, hoops, and ramps are scattered like random, as if the programmer stamped them all over the place while blindfolded. It's like designing a course in Excitebike for your first time. And whenever a path splits, it's all a matter of chance if there's going to be a wall blocking the way. With the ramps, you have to be lined up perfectly. Fuck this isometric angle! Ah! Fuck! You know what? I hate this game. If you can't already tell, some people are good at it and say it takes time to get used to. Yeah, I'd say almost 30 years and I still suck just as bad. For everybody who's taken a beating down the friendly neighborhood of Fucksfield, USA, but still remembers it as this great nostalgic pastime, I'm here to remind you, Paperboy was not all sparkles and sunshine, so I suggest you unsubscribe to your sentimentality. Now I have a delivery to make. Remember that movie Shrek? Came out in 2001, out of nowhere just became this big monster hit, even won an Oscar for Best Animated Feature, but was it really that good? Well, I think I should check it out again. The movie was kind of a parody of Disney. It mocked the way they would dumb down public domain fairy tales, like adding unnecessary sidekicks and inserting a ton of pop culture references just to make the source material more marketable, allowing them to juice them for sequels, spin-offs, theme park rides, toys, and video games. Shrek is an ogre who's forced on a quest to save a princess by a pint-sized lord. On the way, Shrek gains allies, like a talking donkey, and learns the true meaning of friendship, onions, beauty being on the inside, and, you know, all that shit. So anyway, I gotta rewatch Shrek, but of all these million streaming services, I don't know which one it's on. Is it Amazon or Peacock or whatever? And you know me, I'm old school, just got a new cell phone finally, so I need to track down a physical copy, even if it's VHS. I did get this VHS tape, Shrek Retold. This was sent by a fan. This is actually a remake, scene by scene. Now that's some commitment right there, but we need to find the actual movie. The video stores, well, that's out. I know, the library. And not just any library, the Library of Congress.
That's right, Shrek was just entered into the National Film Registry. It is now as culturally significant as the original Dracula, 2001 Space Odyssey, Saving Private Ryan, and Citizen Kane. There's just one problem. I asked the Library of Congress for a copy, and they sent me this weird version that's for the Game Boy Advance, which also came with Shark Tale. Ugh, how convenient. Your tax dollars at work.
Yeah, there was this weird period in gaming history where you could get movies or TV shows made to play on your portable gaming console.
I actually have a couple of movies made for the Sony PSP. Here we have Starship Troopers, awesome, and the not awesome Black Dawn, starring Steven Seagal. Why the fuck do I even own this?
I gotta be honest, I'd rather not watch Shrek on a tiny-ass Game Boy Advance screen. I want to watch it on my TV. So luckily, I have the Game Boy Player for the GameCube.
The Game Boy Player is basically just an amped-up Super Game Boy, but it can play Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance games, all on your GameCube. And if I have to say game one more fucking goddamn time, I'm gonna go insane. Just realized, the whole playing Game Boy on your TV thing skipped the Nintendo 64. I mean, there was the Wide Boy 64, but it wasn't released to the public. That thing's almost as wide as Shrek's ass. First, you grab your GameCube by the purse handle thing. Second, snap the player into the large port on the bottom, and then it has to be screwed in. You think that would be it? But no, you also need the Game Boy Player disc. Without it, you're fucked.
Remember how easy the Super Game Boy was? All you do, you take the cartridge, you put it in the Super Game Boy, and then you put that in your Super Nintendo, and boom! You're playing with power. But good luck not losing this tiny-ass disc. Oh, fuck.
Okay, so here's Shrek the movie on Game Boy Advance on GameCube, plus Shark Tale.
The hell is this? I did everything right. Just let me watch Shrek already, goddammit!
It turns out the Game Boy Player can't play these types of movie packs. I guess Nintendo was afraid people would capture the movie footage and use it to sell bootlegs. Yeah, sell bootlegs of shitty, low-resolution, pixelated movies.
So what am I gonna do now? Well, since I'm in a Shrek mood, I guess I'll see what games I have.
While I'm looking for this game, remember when I said Shrek was a clever parody of Disney? Well, Shrek quickly became a parody of itself by also having a ton of sequels, spin-offs, theme park rides, toys, and of course, video games. Alright, here we go. For the Game Boy Color, Shrek's Fairy Tale Freakdown? What the fuck is a Freakdown? I'm guessing it's ripping off the term SmackDown, which makes sense since this looks like a wrestling game and came out during WWF's Attitude Era. Plus, it's appropriate since there was a wrestling scene in the movie, so a Freakdown it is. First thing you need to do is pick a language. Well, let's see, American or English? I mean, what difference does it make? Is it going to change the spelling of Game Boy Color? Next, you're greeted with a pixelated Shrek putting some poor dude in a fucking headlock with a scary-ass grin on his face. I'm gonna squash your head like a grape, motherfucker! Yeah! Okay, let's hit start. And holy shit, that donkey looks like ass. That ass looks like ass. I guess I'll just pick Shrek. Let's get ready to rumble in the jungle! I mean, the forest. Oh god, what the fuck? What the hell is wrong with Shrek's face? Wait, I thought this was wrestling. There's no grappling, pins, a referee, or even a ring. This is just a run-of-the-mill tournament fighter.
Oh, and even worse, the controls are not responsive at all.
The combos just won't register. Luckily, the big bad wolf is just a big bad bitch and is easy to take down. Just drop kick him until he dies. And I like watching Shrek dance while the wolf crumbles to the ground like a sack of potatoes. Next, you fight Pinocchio in a village. Pinocchio is a real asshole. Not only can he throw objects, but he can use his boner nose to hit you from further away. Oh great, now I'm dead.
Did Shrek just fart? Yeah, he did it. It's not like he got the fart punched out of him. He fell over, went stiff, and then farted, which means that he died. I mean, his muscles relaxed, his sphincters loosened, and fecal matter has escaped. So this was his death shit. Ah! Shrek died and had a death shit.
If you do get to beat that puppet prick Pinocchio, you move into the dungeon to fight, the Riddler? Oh, no, it's just the gingerbread man on candy cane stilts. Well, now he's just there looking pissed off. I'd be pissed off too if I was vaporized by a clearly constipated Shrek over here. Next is the swamp, where we have a mirror match like in Mortal Kombat.
It's Shrek on Shrek carnage! I gotta fight myself, and honestly, one of the greatest enemies to overcome in your life is yourself. So this game is rather, poetic.
You know, the mirror matches do show me how great Shrek can be to play as, if you can actually pull off his special moves. He farts fire and projectile vomits across the entire screen. Shame these controls are such ass. I'd love to pull off a ha pukin'. After killing yourself, it's off to the wrestling ring? Really? Finally? It's now a wrestling game? Nope. You just fight the executioner inside of a wrestling ring looking stage. Bogus. In the movie, the wrestling ring scene wasn't a real ring. It was a horse stable. So did the coders not watch the movie? Anyway, the executioner dies and does a flip. Lastly, you head to the mirror room to easily beat Lord Fuckwad, or whatever his name is, and that's it. That's the entire game.
No story, no ending, no nothing. Just a screen that says champion. And then you're sent back to replay the game as other awful characters you've unlocked.
I tried some of them too, but it didn't make much of a difference. After you beat the game once, there's no reason to go back. Zero replay value.
You know what? Fuck this game, and fuck the Game Boy movie, and fuck the GameCube player thingy, whatever, and fuck Shark Tale while you're at it, fuck the very plastic this game was made on, and fuck the movie Shrek, it's overrated. I don't know why the Library of Congress has to have that one. What the fuck?